Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 298, and we are almost running out of time in 2023. Can I fix your string there? I don't like this. What about the other one? Nate, a little help over there?
No.
All right, there it is. Okay. Yeah, it looks better. Spencer Lappin's back with us here in the garage. How are you?
I'm great. I'm wearing your merchandise. Please fix your.
I'm trying to.
As I'm modeling your podcast.
You
Please
look
fix it.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're also trying something new tonight. So if you guys are tuning in live on Instagram, hopefully we'll see. I think they'll probably get an hour or so, but this is a new feature we're trying this week. So if you're on Instagram, it'll be available live. I already got the notification on that one. It's a lot quicker than Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
But check that out. Share that as well. And hopefully we can see your comments on here. I don't know what that says right there. But anyways, it's episode 298. We've got kind of a more familiar bottle, Knob Creek Rye. Thanks to Spencer for bringing that on. We have a not new, but a newer blend from Cohiba this week with the Cohiba Connecticut. Interested to see how these pair up and if the Connecticut Cohiba will match up with the Knob Creek Rye. So we'll learn more about those here soon. I want to thank you guys out there. Take off that banner, put on the new one. We got the buyjack.com/bourbon and BS for the shirts, as Spencer has mentioned. We've got it's a black camo hoodie with the barrelhead logo on there.
I don't think they can see it.
Because of the camo?
Because of the camo.
No, I get it.
Okay.
I get it. You're just like a floating head. But you can get that hoodie as well as the one that Nate and I have on, which is the BS Cigar Company. This is the blue and white hoodie. There's a black and gray one as well. And then obviously you have some of the other podcast shirts. You have some of the BS Cigar swag as well, including ladies' deep V's and some 3/4 sleeves that are unisex, and other t-shirts that are unisex. You have a few of those.
I do.
Yeah. You celebrate the whole collection.
I celebrate the whole collection.
Yeah.
Also, if you ever go to Homage,
Either one.
they say that their men's shirts are unisex now, just because they have a small women's collection, but most of their men's shirts are now unisex.
That's what it used to be.
That's what
I believe gender fluid was being tossed around there at one point for some garments that were available.
They have needed some blue jacket shirts, and they have them there.
That are unisex.
They are.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought we already had that terminology squared away a while back, but anyways, I want to also thank our sponsors, Tinder Box at Easton. They are the sponsors that provided the Cohiba Connecticut. This is the Toro size, kind of a longer Toro, it seems like. Am I wrong here?
Yeah.
6.5 or so?
Yeah.
Seems to be.
Does Toro describe the width of it, and then the length can vary?
No, Toro is typically around a 6x52, 6x50, 6x54, but like Rocky Patel does a little longer, 6.5 about.
Yep, 6.5.
It's interesting with the Cohiba Connecticut. We'll get into that here a little bit more, but sometimes there are varying dimensions on the Vitolas that are being called Toro, Robusto, and so on. Also want to thank, we got Altitus USA. We have the H. Upman. Going a little fuller than the Cohiba Connecticut is the Heritage, Nicaragua Heritage, which is one that we've enjoyed on the show before. Figured that would be an interesting one to follow up here with the that H. Upman. So thank you, Altitus USA, for the continued sponsorship and support. See him behind us there, Monte Cristo, Romeo Julieta, including H. Upman as well, and Aging Room. They always have some consistently highly rated cigars showing up on the more recent Cigar Aficionado Top 25, along with other publications as well. I want to thank BS Cigar Company. The Gold and Silver are now available at Tinder Box at Easton and a couple other locations, including Carfagna's, where Nate works on the north side of Columbus. And on the west side, we've had them on before. Ryan Newman carries the BS Cigar Company as well. So 3 different locations. You can find those around Columbus, but they are based out of Tinder Box at Easton, our other sponsor. And obviously you guys as well, patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast for the continued support. It's been amazing. And also if you want to do a one-time contribution, Venmo at Bourbon and BS. I'm curious if anyone's watching us on Instagram. We've got a Facebook comment so far. Austin Mayberry. Good evening, fellas, and happy holidays. And to you, sir, as well. All right, that's it. Everyone have a good night.
This is fun.
There was a good one.
This,
sometimes you got to get right to the point,
8.5, 7.
I haven't even tried the whiskey yet. I'm going to light the Cohiba Connecticut. I encourage you guys to share, like, review, and all that stuff on this show. I'll give you the bullet points here. The Cohiba Connecticut. This is interesting for me on a Connecticut blend. Excuse me, that Cohiba did. What do you've already lit up?
I am loving this cigar.
Okay.
As soon as I started to smoke it, but I'm curious as if you think this is a different tasting Connecticut than other Connecticut's out there.
A lot of times when you see, and what I was expecting partially when Cohiba came out with this for some reason is, so this is made at General Cigar Factory in Dominican Republic. I don't know why I just expected it like the Cohiba Black. You've got a Connecticut broadleaf over Dominican filler and binder. I was expecting this to be much the same. This is something that a lot of them you have like either a true Connecticut, but more commonly now is you have the Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper leaf. So Connecticut seed grown in Ecuador. And then you have Nicaragua filler binder. You have Dominican filler binder. I mean, those are like your staples. I know like the Monte Cristo White Series is a little bit different. This one takes it a step further for me. And you've got an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper leaf. That's for sure on this. The binder, though, is a Mexican San Andreas.
That is different.
And then you have not only Dominican, 2 types of Dominican filler, as well as some Nicaraguan filler, but you also have some Brazilian Matafina.
Ooh.
So this is actually a 5-country blend of tobacco, which is not what I expected when they came out with this.
What's the wrapper again?
It's that Ecuadorian Connecticut, which is your typical nowadays Connecticut seed wrapper. So born or grown in Ecuador.
So what are the flavors that are in these 5 that make it so different, I guess?
I'm lighting up. I have not smoked this in a while. So
hey, what's the Mexican one that you were surprised when you heard that?
Well, I remember it was a 5-country blend. I forgot about the Mexican San Andreas as the binder. But it's one of those that when you recommend, working in the retail, when you recommend this cigar to someone, like, I don't like Connecticut's, they're too mild. Like, no. Like, because of what's in this being a 5-country blend, like, this is not a mild.
I was just going to say,
this is not
exact words.
This is a medium-bodied cigar. It is not mild. It is loaded with flavor. And it's one of those that I do like to put newer cigar smokers on if the price point is within their budget for what they want to spend, because it's not a cheap smoke. Because a lot of newer cigar smokers, when they get into it, they tend to start on the very mild end of the spectrum. And a lot of times when you get those mild cigars, there's not a whole lot of flavor. So they end up just tasting like burnt tobacco. And that's where you get the people that complain like, I don't want to, taste it the next morning and have to scrape my teeth in order to get the flavor off. So this is one of those where I'm like, this is a very complex blend, and it's got so much flavor behind it that like you're actually going to enjoy the taste. It doesn't just taste like burnt tobacco. It's got some flavor. It's got some body to it. But yeah, I mean, you still get kind of that creaminess and thickness of the smoke because of that Connecticut, but then on the palate, it's just exploding with flavor from the other 4 countries that are in the blend.
What do you think, Spencer? I mean, what are you getting out of this? You said you like it.
I like Connecticut's in general, and when it's the humidification of the cigar is perfect, by the way. But I like Connecticut's in general, but I was surprised by how much flavor I'm getting from this particular cigar. So like I was a couple puffs in, I was like, well, that's just not a normal Connecticut. Maybe it was just
that's interesting. That's good.
Yeah, something like that. I was just like, but this is a high-end, phenomenal cigar already.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how you picked up on, 2 puffs in, you pick up like, whoa, this is not what I'm expecting from a Connecticut. People hear Connecticut, they think mild.
You're right. Which is why I'm surprised you would offer this to a newer cigar smoker, because I guess this is exactly what people are looking for. They're looking for medium bodied, full flavor.
Yeah. And that's definitely what this is. One of the things that, in my time in the retail industry that I actually learned from Brian and Steve at the Tinder Box, when dealing with newer cigar smokers, newer customers that are just getting into it, get away from just recommending something on the light side. One of the best things to recommend are samplers that have mild, medium, maybe a little bit medium full, not necessarily super full body, but don't just sit there and just sell them, the Ecuadorian Connecticut or the US Connecticut, don't just set there and Fuente, Ashton, and Monte Cristo Classic, like put them onto something that's got a little bit more body to it, because newer cigar smokers might be surprised like how much they could actually handle from a cigar. And that's why like one of my favorites to recommend is the Monte Cristo White, because it's not mild, it's pushing medium, and it's a 3-country blend, and it's it's got a little bit of spice to it, but it's got that creaminess and it's smooth. This just kind of takes that and just adds a little bit more complexity and flavor.
Yeah, I get definitely creaminess from this. It's but it's kind of interesting. And this is going to sound kind of whatever, but a little bit of like kind of milk and cereal kind of flavor notes to it. It's got like the creaminess
like grain.
And like grain, yeah, like a Cheerios or like
Honey Nut.
OG Cheerios.
You're talking after the milk, after the cereal has been in the milk.
That's right.
I know what you're going, but less grind.
Right.
Yeah.
Like creaming.
What's that now?
Would you agree? I mean, you think I'm off here?
No, I think that it's just a what you've been doing this 298 times. It's just about time I heard something new, and I've just never heard.
Oh, get out of here with that.
To milky white cereal milk. It sounds great. You're not wrong.
Well, thanks, but it's a long way to get to that. You're not wrong.
No,
yeah,
I didn't say you're right. I just
right. No, you did say that.
We just agree. We just agree differently.
I don't know what you're saying, really.
How much is this cigar?
It's up there.
18?
No,
north of 20.
I was going to say 22 is my next bet.
I think MSRP is going to be hitting around 22, 23. In state of Ohio, with tobacco tax, you're coming in around 25 for this size.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it for the holidays. So thank you.
You're welcome.
This is a treat. So once I saw it,
it's a white Christmas.
Yeah. It's once I saw it, I was eager. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I thought we'd do something a little nice as we round out the year here. I do enjoy this cigar. I don't smoke many Cohibas because of the price tag. I mean, that's just kind of the type of smoker I am. I enjoy it. I'd say probably my favorite right now is still the Cohiba Royale.
Yes, I agree.
That's up there. This is up there as far as Connecticut's. It's tough sometimes to justify when you're smoking on, especially I hear a lot more often from cigar smokers that are into the full body stuff. They'd smoke this. You're like $25. It wasn't very full, and it's not how you quantify that typically. Much like sometimes like the barrel strength whiskeys as well. Sometimes they'll carry a little bit more price tag because of that, but you're going to get typically a stronger or the higher proof. You're going to get a little punch with that a lot of the times, not always. And this one, I think it delivers on the flavor. I wish it was a little less expensive because it is a nice cigar. But I mean, you're competing now with the Cohiba Connecticut. I think you're competing with like your staples of like the Monte Cristo White series, but
a white's not 22.
That's what I'm saying. The Monte Cristo White is going to be about $10 cheaper than this.
Yeah,
almost. Now they have gone up in price as well, but I think you're dealing with. I mean, there's a huge price point difference, and then on top of that, this cigar, Cohiba, the non-Cuban Cohiba, in my opinion, doesn't necessarily carry the clout that you would think it might compared to like a Davidoff or even like a Monte Cristo. I think outsells a lot of, at least from my perspective. Cohiba Blue, they came in at a lower price point. I think it's a great cigar. It's a confusing cigar because of the price point and the branding on it, because you got the same exact band as what we're looking at here, the Royale, the black, everything else, and everything is $10 more at least than the blue. And the blue, like what's wrong with that guy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about that briefly when we had Sean Williams from Cohiba on the podcast, and we did the blue. Like the blue, I believe what I said during that episode was it accomplished what he set out to do, and that was to make a Cohiba cigar at a more introductory price point without sacrificing too much quality in the cigar, because I know there's a couple Cohibas out there. One of them I used to carry at the humidor at Carfagna's. It was the Puro Dominicana. That was like a sub $10 cigar, and it's smoked.
I think luxury when I think Cohiba.
Exactly, and
as you should. That's their goal.
Yeah, this was a cigar that smoked like a $6 or $7 cigar, so that's why it was priced where it was. Once you hit the blue and you go up from there in that portfolio, that all have this redesigned band that Sean came up with, that's when you really start getting, the quality and intricateness of what is Cohiba and what you expect.
Has this been out for a while?
Yeah.
2 years, 3 years.
Okay.
Let me try to find it here. Let's see when this was written here. I'd have to look this up, but it's been out for a few years. Yeah.
What is the flavor profile most people get from a Connecticut in general? Or is it?
It depends where it's coming from.
Or do they just put different stuff in Connecticut so that actually makes it the flavor?
Connecticut is basically they have utilized that term in my opinion, as a contrast to Maduro, as a description. Typically, you're going to have a Connecticut seed wrapper leaf is usually what you're dealing with there. But beyond that, there's not really a whole lot of similarities. So, like some people even use it, even if it's not marketed as a Connecticut, like a natural. I think of Fuentes, like the Chateau. It looks like this color wrapper leaf. So Connecticut, I know, but Connecticut is kind of your shade grown. So no matter where it's grown, or even the seeds, sometimes it'll be
kind of like
people
tell us
call
people
it
it's going to be
Connecticut.
this type of cigar.
Usually milder.
Yeah,
is usually what you're going to get from it as far as strength.
So
you're going to be mild to medium.
More unique, just because they put different stuff in it.
I think some companies, Cohiba is one of them, obviously, but I think some other companies. I think of more recently that have been putting a little more strength behind it in the filler tobacco and blending differently, trying to keep some of your typical characteristics, which is going to be that creaminess, which is going to be sometimes a little grassy, depending on, I think sometimes with more Dominican tobacco, you sometimes get more of a grassy, sometimes Honduran as well. But I think I'm seeing more Nicaraguan. This one is interesting because it does have Nicaraguan. And again, that Brazilian filler, which I don't know of another Connecticut blend off the top of my head that has a Brazilian Matafina filler. That's usually utilized as wrapper leaf a lot of times, sometimes binder, sometimes filler, but most of the time it's going to be the
CAO
wrapper.
BX3 or Trinidad Espiro 22.
Right.
Is that the same stuff in a Brazilian CAO?
I mean, it's still Brazilian tobacco. It's either Matafina or the Arapiraca tobacco are the two major types of Brazilian tobacco. But this is utilizing the Matafina, and it's, like I said, it adds depth. The Mexican binder leaf is something that you don't know what to expect when you read that, in my opinion. And I don't think necessarily it was a very strong. Obviously, you're probably going to be looking at a little lower priming on there to make sure it's combustible. So again, I don't think you're going to get a whole lot, but you're going to get as you add that in as an ingredient, you're going to get a little bit more different flavors from the different tobaccos you're utilizing there. So I like this cigar. Again, price point, you really have to, in a sense, treat yourself to this. If you don't typically care for Connecticut's, I'm not going to say go drop $20-25 on this, but if you're in the mood for a lighter cigar, milder cigar that you want to drink, or you drink coffee with in the morning or something like that.
Beautiful looking cigar.
It is. Mm-hmm. It is a beautiful shade of that light tan on there. And but again, it carries a little bit more punch than a lot of the more natural or Connecticut Dominican blends, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So
the one thing that's I think is interesting with Connecticut seeds in general. So whether it is U.S. Connecticut, Dominican or Ecuadorian Connecticut, or even Nicaragua Connecticut that Romeo Julieta came out with, they all tend to have like this creaminess to the texture of the smoke. But then, depending on which country those are coming from, you'll get different flavor profiles, which shouldn't surprise anyone. But like the U.S. Connecticut, for me, comes out a little bit drier, a little bit more earthy flavor to it. Ecuadorian Connecticut comes out a little bit more creaminess to it, and then that Nicaraguan Connecticut's got just a touch of spice to it. So again, so kind of like with wine, you take the same seed or same grape, grow it in different countries, and you get different flavor profiles.
Were you pointing to Sean?
Of course.
Yeah. Hi, Sean.
Yeah, because of the people in the studio audience, Sean's the biggest wine drinker.
Top 2 in the audience for sure. No more fucking Merlot.
All right.
Easy.
The other thing I like about the cigar is that the construction on it. I do think that the wrapper will run a little bit, but a lot of times it catches up, which is interesting. And the draw on it is fantastic.
You know how I know it's a good cigar?
I don't.
We started talking about the cigar first.
That was just my call, but okay. Yeah.
No,
The reason I did
cigar
that
the
is
star of the show.
the reason I did that with this one, and I think we've all had a couple sips of the whiskey, but really I think we're focusing on the cigar. I was not sure on how this was going to match up or stand up to the Knob Creek Rye.
You know what I just learned from listening to a podcast you guys did a month ago or 2 months ago? It was taste. It was your take a drink first or smoke first or vice versa. Like we've never. I've never thought about that in the
sequence. Yeah. The way you're doing that is things usually will taste differently when you're pairing them up. And when you do like a whiskey first, you take a sip of that and you go straight to draw. Same thing with like when you're eating something and having a drink with it, it is different. When you take like with this, if you take a smoke and then you go to the whiskey, that's going to be a different pairing in a sense than vice versa. Same thing with food. Sometimes, we like to do like steak dinners and such. And when you're doing that, if you eat a little bit and then you take a sip of the wine you're drinking, there is a different flavor profile than on the opposite. If you're talking for a second, you take a drink of the wine and then you take a bite of the steak or whatever you're eating, it does kind of the sequence of it will affect the way it hits your palate.
Which way did you find that you can taste things better?
I think it's better or worse. I think
it depends on the pairing. It depends on the profile of what we're drinking and what we're smoking.
Okay, so it just doesn't really matter.
Like, I think if the cigar has more spice to it than the whiskey, I think we've typically found that going whiskey then cigar is a better direction to go, because if we go cigar and then whiskey, it just kind of amplifies that spice and kind of shocks the palate a little bit.
The rye is a little bit more rye-ier
when you do what?
Cigar than the whiskey.
Yeah. Or rye-ier.
A little bit more flavor of the whiskey, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just did the cigar and the whiskey in that sequence, and the cigar. First of all, the retrohale, it's not faint, but there's not a whole lot to it. I mean, it's just very pleasant. It's kind of a continuation of your palate, I think, with that. Going to the Knob Creek Rye, and this is the older branding. We're going to get into that a little bit. It's going to be the non-age statement, Knob Creek Rye. Going into that, it's a much more subtle, I think, start to the sip of whiskey. It still kicks in that spice at the end as it finishes, but right off of that, I don't know if it's
pretty mild.
It's mild. It kind of it calms the whiskey. I think at first you get it still, like I said, on the finish. But Nate, what do you think? I'm going to do the opposite while you talk.
So far for me, going cigar to whiskey, it brings out a little bit more of the sweetness of the whiskey right up front. That's wasn't necessarily there on the whiskey by itself or going first.
So we should talk about what we actually have here, bourbon wise. Whiskey wise.
Whiskey wise, I will say this is why I intentionally, and it looks like Sean wants to chime in here as well because he's smoking and drinking the same. I don't know if you guys have done it. Do the whiskey and then to the cigar. In my opinion, the whiskey does overpower because it's really a lot stronger on my palate. And so take a sip of that and then you take a puff of the cigar. It leaves a lot to be desired, especially when you think about the price point and what's in the cigar. It's almost as though I think it overpowers it. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I agree. I do like, it is a little overpowering, but I do like the retrohale after you do the whiskey and then the cigar with the retrohale. For some reason, to me, it brings out a little more flavor on that retrohale, maybe a little more floral notes. But I probably do like the cigar or the cigar first and the whiskeys that we did first, right? I'm getting confused.
Smoke the cigar and then take a sip of the whiskey.
Yeah, so that kind of like that. Yeah, that really, like, I think what Spencer said, whatever goes first, the second one brings out more flavor, and whether it's one way or the other. So I do like that when it comes to pairing.
Nice. What are we drinking?
Hey, dog, if you would.
So for those that are watching, we have two different bottles of Knob Creek Rye. And what is different about them is one is age stated, the other is not.
Mm-hmm.
That actually changed earlier this year. Okay. So it was actually announced, I think, late March that Knob Creek Rye was then going to have a 7-year age statement on it. Before that, it was actually a blend of 5 to 9 year ryes. So now it's all 7-year rye product, which for a rye is a little bit more age than what a lot of other ryes on the market will carry, because rye whiskey will mature and develop its flavor profile much quicker than a bourbon will. So, I mean, you'll get a lot of ryes out there on the market that are just 2-3 years old. So this
same mash bill.
Yeah. Well, whatever mash bill they're using, they'll 2-3 years is usually what they'll get before they can send it out to market. So this one, them sitting there going, okay, instead of doing this 5 to 9 year blend, we're just going to do 7-year from here on out. They don't actually list the. So this is a brand owned by Jim Beam. It was actually created in 1992 by Booker No. It was meant to be a premium line of the Jim Beam portfolio.
Top shelf.
Yes. So in the spirits world in the US, a super premium is anything that retails for more than $25. So
Really?
So Jim Beam falls under that. The Knob Creek line is going to fall above that. The 9-year bourbon, the 7-year rye, and then I think also the smoked maple. Those are all coming in at about $36.99 retail.
I think price point is always a factor. With this one, I pleasantly surprised with the product based on mid-30s.
I thought it was 45, but I might be wrong.
$36.99 in the state of Ohio.
That could be.
You travel a bit, so I don't know if you
No,
picked it up
I
somewhere.
just saw it online for 45, but I could be mistaken. Yeah, this is one of the bottles I had. Just had a couple sips of it at some point over the past few years. Knob Creek is pretty consistent for the $30 to $45. I have a few Knob Creeks at home. They're all good. None of them are great.
I was wrong. The state of Ohio, $32.99 for this bottle.
Even better.
36 is for the bourbon.
I'll sell it for 31 if anyone wants the rest.
And it's also 100 proof. So both the 9-year bourbon and the 7-year rye, they do add 100 proof.
Yeah.
Which makes them great for cocktails.
Saw that.
Dude, I just look at it, again, like you're like now 7-year, no 9-year bourbon. I mean, to think about that again at that, it's almost pushing very similar, like I think as far as like the Eagle Rare situation you're in with the 10-year Eagle Rare for MSRP less than $40.
41 now in Ohio.
Yeah.
5 years ago though it was a $33.
Or if they say online, $275.
Yeah.
$100 in Louisville.
Yeah, exactly. So
can you find Eagle Rare here?
no.
Yeah. So
I mean, you have you seen Eagle Rare come through the shelves much since you started with Carfagna's? They have a great liquor selection if you guys are in the Central Ohio area.
Wish I knew someone there.
Since I've been at Carfagna's, I'll say just over 10 months, I'll say we have gotten Eagle Rare 3, maybe 4 times this year.
That's unfortunate.
And it's usually 1, maybe 2 cases in their 6-packs.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
So if it comes in, so the one good thing about Carfagna's is we only have one wholesale restaurant account, and that's our own bar and restaurant. But also on the allocated items, they're only allowed 1 bottle.
Yeah.
So when Eagle Rare does come in, if the bar does get one, that there's still 5 available the next morning. And, you get a lot of people coming into the store asking for it, looking for it. And just like, well, when we do get it, there's more people than bottles in line. So I
had someone today at the store, came in and asked about Fuentes, kind of same thing, right? With like the Opus and such. He's like, yeah, do you have, where are your Fuentes? And I said, oh, we have a couple of the añejos and then some of the rare pinks. And he's like, what about the Shark? And I said, no, Shark's tough to come by. We didn't get any of those in this year in the añejos. He's like, huh, what about Opus? I said, well, you're coming in a few days after Christmas. We blew through all of our Opus. It makes, man, you guys should stockpile those. And I'm like, yeah, we would if we could.
Yeah.
You say you're in marketing.
Yeah. It's not like we like, for people who don't know in the state of Ohio, when it comes to allocated whiskeys, we don't order them. Like, we can't sit there and put on our order form every single week, like, hey, we want 5 cases of Blanton's, 5 cases of Eagle Rare. Like, no, the state's just going to send whatever they want to send. And they spread it out. The state does a really good job of spreading that stuff to every single agency in the state. And so everyone's gets some, but we don't know if we're going to get it until that truck shows up.
Right.
I mean, they can sit there and say, hey, you guys are supposed to get this. Well, until I see it on the pallet, I don't believe it. Because there have been a few times where the state's sitting there going, hey, you guys are getting this. We're like, oh, cool, this will be really exciting. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, that didn't show up. So, but yeah, the state sends it out everywhere. We can't just order it. So that's why people sit there and they, hunt it and track it and go to every agency in the state trying to
and then they sell it.
And then they usually resell it for about $100 or trade it.
So was our challenge tonight to try the 5 to 9 year one and then also try the 7-year one and see if we can taste any difference?
That's next. Yeah, that's the next 4.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing about this that we didn't discuss. So this is not a 95.5 rye, even though they don't sit there and disclose
55.
It's
right?
about a 55.
Yeah.
About a 51, 55% rye, and then 10% malted barley thereabouts, and the rest is corn. So for people who sit there and say, oh, I don't like ryes, they're too spicy, like, this is one of those that you should try because it's got a lower rye content. It's got more corn, so there's a little bit more sweetness to it and not as much of that bold, punchy in the face spice.
I think the spice is on the finish on this one. It is a little sweeter. Yeah, well, you passed the 7-year branded one, or Nate, go ahead. Take a pour.
Well, and I think also, and this could just be because of this Spencer's bottle, the non-age stated one, having already been opened. So, but because it was open, like it actually drank like it was oxidized a little bit.
Yeah. What's wrong with you?
I was just giving it to you.
And so like it actually started to taste like it was, like a dusty bottle. Like it was something that had been cracked and kind of oxidized just a little bit.
To be fair, it's been kept in a basement, in a liquor cabinet. Do you actually think that affects the flavor of it?
Once it's open, it does.
Once you crack the seal.
Yeah.
What changes?
Air hits it. The cork is not airtight.
Well, and it's also a synthetic cork on this.
I think that'd be better. For
Possibly.
sealing, probably, I don't know.
All right.
I appreciate you bringing it. I don't know.
No, I sent you pictures of a bunch of them, and this was the one that we went with.
I thought this would be cool.
Yeah. My mom got me that Legion, but you guys had that, and
I've been like 2+ years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you keep a database of all those?
No, I just look on the Apple Podcast.
You can search on Apple Podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's how I used to keep track of how many episodes you had been on. Is I would just search.
Are you still keeping track?
No, because I don't have a work laptop that I have the spreadsheet on.
You have a pen and paper.
All right, Dad.
Go on.
You're getting upset.
Yeah.
Spencer's getting upset.
Work's up over.
All right, calm down. Settle down. Cut his mic.
I'd love to have this mic cut.
I do I want to give a shout out. I don't think they're listening, but this Knob Creek 7 that we have here was actually a Christmas present from my brother's in-laws. So that was very nice. I got a nice gift set with this and 2 Knob Creek glasses.
How was your Christmas, by the way?
Christmas was great, man. So it was a good day. It was a nice day off, and it was, I'd say, the first Christmas of almost living together with Kristen.
Are you looking at me? She's.
We are. Tomorrow's the official move in day, but Christmas was really nice. She made it very nice. Worked a lot the week or so leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So wasn't around a whole lot. So it was very nice to get a little bit of a reprieve from work. It was a busy time in the shop. And, it's one of those things you want to be at home more around the holidays. And she had some time off. She's been working her ass off with all the moving stuff when I was at work. So it's been a kind of a long few weeks for sure.
And your kind of busy schedule ends around Christmas Eve, right?
Yeah. So, but
that's a big.
yeah, the way it lands, you know, being in retail. So yeah, it was Christmas Eve was, you know, got out around 5 or so, after several days of working open to close. And so it's nice because she's been, we kind of started a tradition last year. She wanted to do the beef tenderloin from Carfagna's, as the Christmas Eve dinner. And so we continued that tradition this year, and she made that dinner. And then she started a new tradition with Christmas morning with a breakfast casserole that I think I'm going to embarrass her by talking about this. It was, and I think we should do it every year. So we'll see what happens. But, so we get home. I was tired. She's tired. She was been like, you know, taking trips back and forth from, and we're going to talk about this in the part 2, but that's fine.
You're the one who's talking.
You asked me a question.
You're talking. Go ahead. Tell the story. I'm very curious about the Christmas casserole.
Christmas casserole. So it called for 6 or 12 eggs. Called for 12 eggs, which I love, right?
You're an egg guy. You've always been an egg guy.
I'm an egg guy. I'm
You're
a
an
protein guy, you know. So and then spicy
cooked
sausage.
Cooked or just in a glass.
So I was in charge of whisking, and I mean I can whisk an egg.
You work out.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Look at those
It's a nice consistency. There's a lot of
He knows how to beat
air
it.
flow.
Okay.
Yeah, that's which is key.
No milk. Any butter?
No milk.
Okay. Just
Nah. All right, whatever.
make it easier.
But there's also some egg whites in the mix. So she adds egg whites. This, mind you, was
What time is this?
we started earlier than that.
It's Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, we were enjoying wine, and then we enjoyed some more wine.
Oh, yeah. I see where this is going.
So then I'm helping out, and she's in charge, obviously, and she put the hash browns in, and then all of a sudden she thinks that we should put more eggs in. So I'm like, all right, I'm all
You're
for
making
it.
an omelet. You're making an omelet.
And then she's like, crack like 3 more eggs. I'm like, oh, okay. And as I'm doing that, she pours more egg whites in there.
Who is this for? Just the two of you?
That's right.
Okay.
And the whole neighborhood, apparently. The whole block.
There's
Like,
leftovers.
There's leftovers.
Oh,
I've
okay.
already eaten leftovers twice.
Yeah, I'm assuming there's
So
a
the
lot of
crock
eggs.
pot, let's get down to physics here. Crock pot has certain dimensions. And so as you add more ingredients to it,
It's going to take up more space.
there you go.
He's a math guy.
Yeah. So yeah, let's bring out a whiteboard here. Do we have a whiteboard? So adding the extra ingredients after she had already added more ingredients, I was excited about it. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it today, actually, for lunch.
Had to.
It's going to go bad if you don't eat it.
Yeah.
And she woke up in the middle of the night and went out to check on it. And I didn't find out until the morning, but
Is that how crock pots
Did
work?
it-
You have
did-
to
did it-
continually check on
it
it?
was,
Did it
It's a
explode?
souffle.
it became part of the counter a little bit. And so there's some expansion. Thank you. Getting back to the physics. Thank you, Sean. So we learned from it.
Did you?
Just follow the
Yeah.
recipe.
Well, the advised.
Okay. Besides eggs, what else are? Is there
Yeah,
like
sausage, hash browns. There was some peppers.
So is it a layer
Sounds
thing or is it
amazing.
a? Yeah, it sounds great. Okay. Sounds
Then
good.
it's all together then. Yeah. So
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Sounds
I
good.
thought it was great. It was just fun. It was kind of a good I mean, sentimentally, I think it's a good like Christmas memory the
a good
first time we
story,
tried it,
yeah.
right? You know, so we'll remember it next time and maybe start earlier before the
Before the wine.
no, not before the wine, before the
I think
before the rest of the wine.
Before the second bottle.
Second or third. You said
who's
4.
counting.
Wow.
Apparently, I wasn't gonna say 4, but
One of these days, she's going to have enough wine. It's just going to be like I've never seen. She doesn't get drunk off wine.
how was your Christmas? Oh wait, Hanukkah.
So speaking of Christmas, so we went to Wonka, and then we do what the Jews do. You know, we ordered Chinese.
Nice.
Yeah, but Christmas Eve was great. Went to a buddy or my fiance's cousin's boyfriend's house, who used to be a sports DJ here in Columbus,
Okay.
and he has 5 TVs in the basement.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah,
that picture.
and
yeah.
then cigar and bourbon, and we had burgers and shrimp, and did the thing. Nate, I know you like to travel for the holidays. How was your Christmas?
I don't like to travel for the holidays. I don't.
I feel like we've gone off of part one here a little
Did you
bit.
have a good Christmas?
302 miles of driving.
Not that you're counting.
No,
You,
not at all.
you started the trip.
Yep, for each
I
leg
bet you did.
for each leg of the journey.
Nice.
Yep. So yeah, left in the morning after we opened presents at our house. Left later than I wanted to because I was told like, hey, we're supposed to be here by this time. Like, cool.
Shout out to Jess if you're listening right now.
Yeah, we need to leave at 11 o'clock. Cool. We left at 11:30, and I'm just sitting there going, what is going on? Like, I got all
I think
my
it's pretty good.
Christmas
Half
is
hour-
almost
yeah,
over, guys.
Half hour's pretty good.
So yeah, so we drive all the way up to Toledo.
Okay.
And then left there about 4 o'clock and drove 4:30 and then drove all the way to the south end of Columbus for my family.
Okay.
And then drove home. And by the time I got home, it's like, all right, what are we drinking?
Merry Christmas.
It's got
Yeah,
a great laugh.
Because
It's a very spirited laugh.
because I mean we didn't have anything to drink at either Christmases because of the amount of driving. So
Flask, baby. Flask.
yeah, well, it also rained quite a bit during the journey, which thank goodness it was rain and not snow. Because last year,
Sure.
2 days before Christmas was when it was -9 degrees
Yeah.
and we got a
Oh,
bunch
yeah.
of ice and snow on
We
the
celebrate
highway.
Christmas Eve at Easton at about 6 a.m, getting Kristen's car out of the snow.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Those,
So I'll take the casserole
yeah.
over the tow
I like
truck
a good casserole. Sounds good.
Yeah.
for sure. If I had to pick.
Okay.
But no, going back, the casserole is great. Still is great if you guys want some.
I'm having a hard time tasting the difference between the two. I'm sure there is a difference. I just
It's tough because
it's tough because they're not maybe I don't know.
yeah, we're not doing a side by side. We're doing a one, and then the other one afterwards. So it's kind of like the burn or whatever you're going to get from your first glass is gone. I think this is a little sweeter. It's not as much burn in the finish as I was getting before. But again, that could be because it's the second glass. I think it is a little bit tamer.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little tamer.
I listened to your Nashville barrel pot. I did not realize that I thought that they were just like milliliters, like just a small bottle. I didn't realize.
Those were 375.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they actually like gave you
Well,
legit,
but
legit
they were
half bottles.
We were volunteering, so
Yeah.
No, I mean,
But they were
it's for the
also-
kids, if I recall.
Those 9
So-
bottles had also been drank among 8 people. So like they were all half or
1,
less.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, I'm talking about during the barrel pick.
yeah, that's what's
Oh.
left from the barrel pick.
God, I thought
Yeah.
it was from the podcast tonight.
Well, that
it
is the same one, but we had it like that was round 2 of
So
drinking out
it
of
was
bottles.
Steve, myself. There was a lady to Steve's left, and then 3 or 4 people from OHLQ, and then someone from Heidelberg.
Yeah,
So there were 7 or 8 of us that were drinking all those bottles.
yeah.
And then the ones that didn't get picked, the 3 of us got to take, and so I'd been sitting on them. Yeah, they were not full
Back to-
375.
What were you gonna say?
I'm just trying to figure out: is there any difference in the colors between the two, or is it
It's-
just eye wise and just
Yeah, it's
angles?
Stuff. I mean, again, 7 years lower. That was a Christmas
Do we
drink.
know why they decided to make the change? Is it marketing? Because you asked me 7. I was like reading.
You're like,
as
there
like-
is no age statement.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Nate obviously does. The only thing I can think of is that it's a way to market it a little bit more because, again, when I saw the Knob Creek 9-year the first time, I didn't realize that was like just the new Knob Creek bourbon, because I think that being able to throw on an age statement again in the bourbon rye is the same, right, Nate? Where you have to have the minimum is like rye age statements, whiskey statement, like it's the same. So 7-year, that is the minimum
Yes.
of the blend. So there could be older barrels going into that.
Yes.
So I mean, not sure why. If you said it was 5 to 8,
5 to 9.
5 to 9,
The
is what they
original
were
used to be 5 to
saying.
9.
Well, that's what they were saying, but they didn't market it as a
They don't
5-year.
want to say 5.
They could say 5-year, which a 5-year rye still is pretty great. I mean,
Yeah.
to market it as such. So the fact they went to 7-year on the rye and then went to 9-year on the bourbon, and again that price point's sub $40. It's a sleeper in my opinion. I mean, like people know this is one of the ones that if you
Wild Turkey.
you mention Wild Turkey, yeah, you mentioned some of these such as
Every time.
such as like the Knob Creek. When you talk to even some of the collectors and the people that are really into bourbon, what are your daily drinkers? They're not always saying the tough to find stuff, especially the ones that aren't trying to show off. You say, like, I've Old Forester 100. They're like, yeah, hell yeah, that's a great daily. Like, you mix it, you can sip on it, throw an ice cube, put a little whatever. I think Knob Creek falls into that kind of same category as a steal of a bottle for a quality product.
Drinking it.
You don't feel bad. You can share it. You can actually, you bring out a bottle, for friends, and you're not out.
Well, yeah,
you're not out of first of all, you're not out of a lot of money. And second, you're not out of a bottle that you can't just go back to the store and buy another one.
Well, I mean, you're talking $30 to $40, rye or bourbon for a 7-year, 9-year age stated and at 100 proof.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Are ryes traditionally less expensive than bourbons?
No, typically they're going to be more expensive.
Yeah,
because bourbons are corn heavy, and corn is much cheaper than rye. In the U.S., we don't grow rye as well as we do corn because of our climate. Rye does better in a colder climate. That's why a lot of rye that companies use is actually grown in Canada.
Yeah.
There are different strains of rye whiskeys that some companies will grow. Like recently we had Frey Ranch. Frey Ranch is in northern Nevada. So it's
got me a bottle of that. That did not last very long.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
And that was a I think a winter rye that they grow there, because where they're at in northern Nevada is a little bit colder than what you think of when you think of like Las Vegas, Nevada. So
real quick, I want to give a shout out to, is it Leather and Oak? Oak and Leather?
Leather and Oak here in Hilliard.
So Leather and Oak, I was at a networking event a couple of weeks ago, and I sent the pictures to Steve. The owners were there, and they had their bourbon, and they also had their
limoncello.
And you mix them a little together, but their corn bourbon, I think it was 100% corn.
100% corn.
Tasted like caramel, butterscotch.
That's good. Yes,
I thought it was flavored whiskey.
Nope.
I was surprised how good it was, but they say hello. I was at an event, and they seem to be promoting their brand, and they're doing well. And I told them about the podcast, and they were very happy that I mentioned it to them. But nice guys.
Yeah, they were on.
They don't remember the podcast, but very nice guys.
That doesn't surprise me.
Steve does, and Dave, remembers most of it.
Yeah, and their son is possibly involved.
Yes.
Yeah, nice guys.
Dave's son, right?
Dave's son.
Yeah, very nice guys, by the way.
Austin out there, Leather and Oak, fantastic, absolutely. Let's round this out here, guys. We're again drinking the Knob Creek Rye, and now the Knob Creek Rye 7-year, which is the new branding of it. We are also smoking the Cohiba Connecticut, which again I think is a nice treat for us. Spencer said it. You think Cohiba, you think luxury. Some people think overpriced. I think this is a blend where, Cohiba put out another, like a Connecticut. So what? And I think when you look into it, when you light it up, it's definitely going to be something different for you. And I think if you're looking for, again, a mild to medium cigar, this is one you should definitely check out. And I want to thank Tinder Box at Easton for supplying the Cohiba Connecticut. And check it out. They do have the Cohiba Connecticut in the Toro size, in the Robusto size. And then also, I know, Nate, you've seen it. Cohiba, again, Sean Williams is doing some great stuff with the branding of this stuff. Not only the super high end, he's the ambassador.
Got it.
Has a hand in blending, but also it's really it's nice. Abraham from Ghana, in love with you. Please, bless you. Please, I need your help. Please, my contact number. Please, no one call whoever Abraham is.
My Nigerian prince?
He didn't say he's a prince, but he might be playing hard to get, and just see if you like him for who he is
if
first.
You send him a couple bucks.
The Cohiba Connecticut, though, the branding of it comes in a tubo now. But it's
square tube.
It's a square tube. And
Boxed?
it's the Toro, oddly enough, slightly shorter Toro. But instead of a round tube, it is a white branding just like this, but it's a square tube for the cigar. It's absolutely great gift. It's beautiful marketing, so fantastic. But as we round out the part one, again, thank you to our sponsors. Tinder Box at Easton again for the Cohiba Connecticut, Altadis USA. We got the H. Upman Nicaragua Heritage on deck. And also thank you to Be a Cigar Company out there. Gold and silver are available. The gold is made by Plasencia and the silver is made by Espinosa. And I also want to thank you guys for contributing to the show. And the swag can be available or is available at buyjack.com/bourbonandbs. And you guys can also contribute monthly if you want to patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast. You do that, there is a code for you to get a discount on buyjack.com/bourbonbs. So check that out as well. And if you want to throw us some Venmo to buy a certain bottle, it's at Bourbon BS. This is where we rate the cigar, the whiskey, and the pairing. Spencer, go ahead. Sean, you want to jump in here? You go ahead first then. Okay. Sorry, Spencer. We ran out of time.
No, fuck me. Yeah.
I like the Cohiba. It's I like this Connecticut. It still has a little bit of umph to it, and I was very pleased with it, or am pleased with still smoking it. I'd give that an 8.5. The Knob Creek, I will give that, and I give that an 8. It's not too bad. I do like the pairing. I'll give an 8.5 as well, because like it's like whether you smoke with a cigar first and drink or vice versa, it brings out the flavor in either the cigar or the bourbon. So
nice. Spencer.
So first, Nate, I'd like for you to tell me what I'm doing wrong when I do that.
Quit beating the shit out of your cigar when you ash.
So what's the proper way to ash?
Well, that's why at the last time
I didn't pay attention. I was just looking at you. You look great when you do it. But what are you actually doing?
So you don't want to beat your cigar against the side of the ashtray, because you run the risk of cracking the wrapper, damaging the cigar.
Okay.
Also, you might end up knocking off some of the unburned tobacco at the end of it. So don't do that.
Okay.
What you want to do is kind of like find that inside edge of that ashtray and then just kind of roll it across. So that way it falls off on its own.
I love that. I've never seen that before. Enough to never see that.
Almost 30, I think.
Yeah. And this, yeah. I just found out like a little bit ago that to put your cigar out, you just kind of gently put it down versus smush it. And
yeah, don't sit there and tamp it down.
All right. Thank you. I will try to do that next time. The bourbon, just getting angry again. All right.
The rye.
What's your New Year's resolution?
The bourbon itself, 8. It's fine. I'm glad I had it for $35. It's a good bourbon. I personally, again, was having a difficult time tasting the difference between the two. That just might be because, it's not my first glass, and with the cigar and stuff like that. 8. Cigar, one of my favorite cigars.
Really?
Yeah. How much I
First
like.
time smoking it?
First time smoking it.
Nice.
I haven't seen this before, which is why I asked you if it was new. You know that I love the Monte Cristo White, and I think you've had that for me a couple of different times.
We have.
This is a step up and more depth of flavor than that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I think creamy, I think the Monte Cristo. This is creamy with like a little bite, a little bit more flavor. This is like a 9.5 for me.
Nice.
So one of the better cigars I've ever had. So thank you. This is a treat.
Yeah.
Together, I'm with Sean on this. There's nothing special about them together. I think the bourbon can go with most cigars. The cigar can go with most bourbons. A little overpowering. Together, probably, I don't know, 8.2.
Still a solid pairing.
Yeah, I'm happy with it, but just nothing special between.
Sure.
I think the cigar is the star of the show.
Nice. Nate, how about yourself?
So cigar, I'm going to be 8.5 on the cigar. I would go 9 if this was something more like the price point of the Cohiba Blue. That $15
half price. Yeah, sure.
Well,
that'd be great.
not
Be
half.
better.
He's
Not
bringing
half.
price into it.
But
Just brought price into it before.
I know.
Okay.
But no, it's definitely a solid stick. I definitely like this one a lot more than the Cohiba Blue. So between this and the blue, like I'm more inclined to purchase this one because this one's more complex and I think it's better construction, better flavor. Like I think this is a better cigar. Really enjoy that, that 5-country blend. There's a lot of complexity to that. That's why I said earlier, like the Monte Cristo White that Spencer and I like so much. Like that's a 3-country blend, Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, Dominican Nicaraguan filler. This one just kind of takes that, adds more depth of flavor, just a little bit more body to it as well. But it still has that creaminess that you expect in the Connecticut. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those where if you're going into a store and you've never had it, when you see that shade grown wrapper and you see the word Connecticut, don't think that it's going to be a mild cigar. Now, whether you're a mild cigar smoker, this will still be something I think you can enjoy. But if you're a medium-bodied cigar smoker, typically, like this is right up your alley. Don't let the name fool you. Don't judge the book by its cover, as people say. Yeah, it's definitely a solid smoke, but I'm also with you, Steve. The Royale, like that's where it's at.
Totally different blend, though.
I know,
Yeah.
but for what I like to smoke, like that's definitely what I, that one's a little higher rating for me, even though it's a higher price point too.
What's a higher price point?
The Cohiba Royale.
What's the price point on something like that?
About 32.
Aggressive.
Not quite. It's about $4 more MSRP, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like for this same size. Okay. And then the whiskey, I'm an 8 on the whiskey. It's a really good rye, because it is that lower rye content. It's something that's more approachable to people who may not be the biggest rye fans or are just getting into rye whiskeys. I think the price point is absolutely phenomenal for what you're getting. Because they do this at 100 proof, I think this would, and it's only, a $33 bottle. Like this would be a great rye if you're wanting to make a cocktail.
Good Manhattan.
Yeah, because it's got enough proof to be able to stand up to anything that you're going to throw at it in a cocktail drink. If it was this being such a low rye content, maybe don't do as like whatever cocktail you're making, nothing like not as much simple syrup or anything that's sweet to it, because this already has enough sweetness with the corn in there.
Sure.
If it was a 95.5, then yeah, you could throw simple syrup or whatever in there to kind of balance that out a little bit. But this is definitely like you're just easy sipping type of rye at a really good price point. Pairing, I think the pairing's an 8. I think it's definitely better going cigar to whiskey because going that route, it brings out more vanilla on the rye. That spice still comes in on the back end, but because of that low rye content, it's not punching you in the face. But it just brings out more sweetness. When you go the rye to the cigar, you lose a lot of flavor at the front end of that cigar.
Any chance we can do a cocktail?
No. Tonight?
Figured I'd ask.
No.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Not with this. I don't have the right ingredients for it.
Okay.
We'll have to get some of those handy going forward.
I'll make some calls.
Good suggestion.
Thank you.
Good suggestion. For me, the whiskey, I think price point included. And again, I think this is a sleeper bottle for a lot of people that are just in the hunt for stuff. They don't know what they're looking at here. Obviously, the project has been very good for Jim Beam, and 8 for what it is. I mean, I would say 7 in the big picture, but I think for what it is, I think it's an 8. Mm-hmm. It's a nice thing to sip on. And again, I agree with what you guys have said, especially Nate, about the cocktail aspect of it. I think this is something that if the bar has something that, you're doing a rye Manhattan, this is going to be one you can definitely pull. I know you love that, Spencer, the Manhattans there. And you like Woodford.
Well,
you like a
funny.
bourbon.
I looked this up, and like one of the first things that came up was like Knob Creek Manhattan. And Knob Creek Old Fat, like it says it's a very good cocktail.
It is
mixer.
It is. The cigar, I'm with you. This is a 9 for me. This is a great Connecticut blend. It's different than anything else out on the market. You do have to splurge a little bit to get this cigar. So it's not necessarily your daily. You can find a lot of different Connecticut shade blends that are going to be in that 10 to 15 range, which is going to be something that I'd guide you to on a more regular basis if you're enjoying that. But this one is something that I would encourage everyone to at least experience once and see if you do like it. Don't be turned off by the Cohiba name. Sometimes the higher brand names like Davidoff, Cohiba, and such will turn people off. But I mean, they know what they're doing here with this. There's a reason that this is General Cigar's flagship brand. And they're doing some of their best work, I think, recently more often than they have in the past, where you kind of lived off the Cohiba Red Dot, and then you have the Cohiba Black, which at the time was a bit fuller. But when today's market, that's not very full. It's more of a medium, really dark wrapper leaf cigar that I think is misleading. This one is a little misleading, but in a good way. This is going to be something that the Connecticut blend from Cohiba, and Sean, what he's done has been just fantastic. So pairing 7. This is I was curious. I was hoping that this cigar does stand up when you do what we said.
Skeptical from the beginning with this.
It was a little bit, but I think that the cigar to the whiskey is definitely better than the whiskey to cigar. The whiskey to cigar is just something that it leaves a lot to be desired from that. I think that's going to be saying that we're about to lose the Instagram feed, so we'll check that out. That being said, guys, thank you very much. We're going to stay live on the stream on Facebook and YouTube. I think Instagram is going to be cutting out if it didn't already.
I think it limits it to an hour.
It limits to an hour. They're going to try to fix that. Who knows? But I want to thank you guys. Happy New Year. Stay tuned for our Happy New Year's episode for part 2. Cheers.
Thank you for the cigar.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Very welcome.
Yeah.
Very welcome.
When you guys are done with your current glass, I have something to pour into your glass. That doesn't mean chug it right now, Spencer.
Wow. I just give you one look. You don't know how I live.
The way you raised that glass while you were giving me that look, I knew what was going on in that moment.
I know what an 8 is.
Uh-huh.
I know what this is. I know it's better than an 8. So I want you to give it more than 1 second of thought. We used to bring this. It was close to 100% rye, a very high rye, and it was inexpensive. And you used to bring it to the podcast.
What's this?
He used to bring a rye because I wasn't a huge rye fan until he brought me like a rye that he brought to the podcast
You bring a lot.
in his backpack. And he was like, I just got this. It's like a daily drinker, and it was close to a high rye.
It wasn't like the Russell's 6-year rye, was it?
I don't think so, but it was.
No, it was the one you got at last call all the time.
Well, I mean, those weren't handles, but at the last call, I used to get the Ezra Brooks rye
There it is.
and the
been-
Canadian
That's what it
Club
was.
rye.
No, it was the Ezra Brooks.
Yeah.
Because
Which
you would
I-
get that for like $14 or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But I drank it. I was like, holy shit, this is good.
I know. I still have a bottle unopened at home.
Yeah, it's great.
I still have a bottle of that and the Canadian Club. It was, I think, $12 for the Ezra Brooks because it originally was on the shelf at $20. Because I remember the first time I ever found it on the shelf, I was like, oh, that's new. It's $20. Cool. I'll get it. And then for months, I couldn't find it again. And then I went into the last call store that was by my office in the first location, and it was like $12. And I was like, oh, I'm going to buy the shit out of that.
We are currently
What's up, dog?
being
Hey, who's that
watched. You got to take a breath.
Well,
breath.
hello.
We have time.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's up, Shane?
Quick. We'll get started here. Shannon, what's happening?
Sitting here enjoying the beach. Well, not the beach, but the nice weather.
Nice,
But we're
man.
not too far apart in the weather. It's only 60 here. You guys aren't too far behind.
We're mid-40s right now. We're mid-40s,
Yeah.
so not so bad. Same time zone? Where you at?
No, I'm an hour behind you guys.
Okay.
So it's only it's 8 o'clock here.
Nice. Nice. We're going to wait for Spencer to come back. We'll get started with part 2. What are you sipping on? What are you smoking?
So I was going through my little bourbon stash, and I found this hiding in the back of my cabinet. Let's see here. It's hard to see, but
Hang on. Let me see here. Shoot, I got to get rid of this. There we go. What is that there? Bourbon whiskey.
Painted something?
Painted Stave, Stave.
Okay.
It's out of Smyrna, Delaware distilling. I did a Nate. You're gonna be proud of me, Nate. I wrote it down. I
Got
can
some
give you all the
notes.
facts. I got some notes.
Just the facts, man.
Just
Just
the
a fact.
facts, brother. It's supposed to be the rye, so it's kind of cool. I'm drinking a rye with you guys. So,
Yeah, yeah. What are you smoking?
man, I don't even want to talk about it.
Uh-oh.
We only
Nothing
went to the
special.
post office today. You know that, right?
I got some Sam Houston's, baby. 5-pack for $8.
Please, please. I went to the post office today.
I know. After the first of the year, everything will be settled here, and then we can start getting some
All
care
right,
packages.
just hit me up, man. Hit me up. We'll figure it out.
Oh, absolutely. I did find one decent cigar shop. It's about 30 minutes away. It's at North Padre Island. Little cigar joint. Pretty nice.
Nice.
Nothing special, but they got some decent stuff in there. But other than that, just hanging out. It was a beautiful day down here. It was 70s. I got inducted into the Old Man Golf Club down here today.
It's quite an honor.
It is. So I went and played with them today at this course. It was pretty fun. Bunch of good guys.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
I got a bottle of whiskey as a Christmas present from my boss.
Nice. What'd you get?
A limited edition Hibiki Harmony. It's a Japanese whiskey in a limited edition bottle.
Nice.
And it's funny, my boss had decided to get me that, and then the other day at work, he actually asked me, he's like, "Hey, you guys ever done a Japanese whiskey on the podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, we have. I think once when
sitting up there that we need to do also.
Oh, okay. I think that was when no, not Bobby. Leo. When Leo was on, we did
Leo along.
Yeah, we did a Centauri product, which the Hibiki is. And he's like, "You should do this one. You should do this one on the podcast." And I was like, "Well, $125 is a little bit much for a bottle that we're gonna kill in a night." So
Right. Yeah.
because it's only like 83 or 86 proof, so it's gonna go down real easy.
Michael Herklotz, to see you on there. Hang on one second. Michael Herklotz, if you're on there, I need to get a hold of you actually about March 16th. And for those who are listening out there, we're kind of in between the episode here, part 1, part 2, but not to put you on the spot, but I will message you here soon. But we are going to have a Smoking 10 event on March 16th, and we're hoping to get Ferio Tego out there as well. So I know we had talked about it in the past, and he's a busy man, but if you're out there, Michael, we are definitely looking forward to talking about it.
That was a great episode 3 years ago when we had Michael on.
It was, yeah.
The whole nice. Front porch neighbors.
Yeah,
that
was
he brought up.
Message.
Yeah, that was
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So how much rye does it have to be considered like a good rye? Is there a certain number?
So just like with bourbon, it has to be at least 51% rye in order to qualify as a rye whiskey. So bourbon has to be 51% corn. If you call it a wheat whiskey, it's got to be at least 51% wheat. Whatever you're naming that product as, it has to be at least 51% of that particular grain. If it doesn't say bourbon, rye, or wheat whiskey, then that means that the mash bill does not have above 50% of any one particular grain. So earlier this year, I think it was, we did the Michter Sour Mash.
Mm-hmm.
That's just called Sour Mash Whiskey. Because I think the corn content was 45, and then there was some rye and some malted barley in there as well. So
yeah, because I was looking at this stuff, and they broke it down. It said corn, rye, and malted barley.
I don't have
66 corn, 26 rye, and 8 malted barley.
Yeah, so that would qualify as, quote unquote, a high rye bourbon. Typically, anything over 20% they label as a high rye. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is your glass empty, Spencer?
It is now. I was told there'd be a New Year's treat.
Oh, he's not going to show you.
Yeah, I smell Captain Morgan's.
Little absinthe. No, I'm kidding.
While you have it out, hang on.
That'd be cool. Shannon, what part of the world are you in?
I am in Rockport, Texas, on the Gulf Coast.
Why?
It's warm and no snow.
Okay. Like how close to Mexico? How close to Mexico?
Thank you, sir.
I'm probably 2.5 hours. I'm 30 minutes east of Corpus Christi.
Okay. And are you making your way back this direction? Is that the plan, or are you making your way back west or farther west?
No, we'll be here for the next 4 or 5 months, hanging out. and then after the first year, we're going to sit and discuss what we want to do next.
All right. Why are
So
you
there's
in
no plan at this point
Texas
where to
for
go.
for the next 4 or 5 months? Why'd you decide that's the stop?
Just warm, just stay out of the cold stuff. It was a good money move to come here because it's cheap
Okay.
and it's a nice campground. It's like an RV resort rest, very nicely priced. So it's a good stay.
All right, cool.
Are you gonna
So
try
it's
and
quiet.
like
Chill.
some of your previous places? Are you gonna try and like work there a little bit to try and work off some of the fees or anything? Or
Not here. I talked to the front office about setting up my barber stuff here, and they were cool with it. So I'm gonna set all that up and see what happens. Because this is a big ass place, so there's plenty of people to cut.
Me and you live very different lives. You seem much more relaxed than me.
I got some stories to tell you. It's all fun.
Go on.
It's been good, but
Let's get
we'll
started
get into
here.
that. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Let's get started here.
Next time. Yeah, tell me what I'm drinking.
Hang on a second, boys. Can you guys wait just a second? You can cheers once I like.
I just learned how to
Oh,
cheers the
we
right
were-
way.
we were
too.
gonna
You're
do that.
still doing it wrong.
We're gonna
You're
do that
still
like
doing it wrong.
We're gonna do that like as the intro.
Yeah, I know. We keep doing it, and I'm about to
Normally-
intro.
Normally you kind of do the.
To lead you in. It's to lead you in.
Eh.
All right, let me do it the way I do it.
Nope. No, stop.
Do you want to do it with me?
Seriously.
Spencer, stop.
Welcome back to the Bourbon BS podcast, everyone. No, that was so terrible after all the practice.
Well, that doesn't make the
Grab
noise.
it by the base.
Yeah.
Steve,
Go ahead.
Steve,
Ooh.
Steve, you and me.
And then you.
Okay. Is mine hollow?
Jesus. Oh my goodness. This
Spencer's
is
over there.
great.
fat
Not a
fingered.
martini glass. Quick clinking with the rim. All right. Welcome back to part 2.
Absolutely.
Episode 298, part 2. Beyond the BS.
You guys do anything for 300?
Probably do a podcast. Do a podcast.
Oh,
So
shit.
this is the New Year's episode. So it is January, still the 27th.
December 27th.
That's right. And we are just days away from 2024. 2023, I think, was a good year overall. It's been interesting. But I want to talk about how it's been for you guys and anyone out there that's listening. Definitely want to hear from you guys as well. And we have Shannon Chapman joining us. We still have
Well,
Spencer
hello.
Lappin here on the show, Nate Hale, myself, and then we have Sean Wilkinson in the garage with a microphone. So see where this conversation goes, but see what you guys have going on. This is the annual episode where we kind of look back and reflect on the year behind us and going forward. And, the whole new year, new me type stuff, I don't think that's the most healthy way of looking at things unless you were really just an absolute terrible person in the previous year. But I think that there's some new habits or new things that you guys can kind of obviously improve upon. There's always room for improvement, but I hope you guys had a good 2023, and that's kind of where I'll turn it to you guys that are on the actual show and anyone out there. I know we have quite a few listeners on both YouTube and Facebook right now. The Instagram feed, if you guys were a part of it, we did do the Instagram feed live for part 1, and I think next week we'll try to do the first hour with the part 1 and then do as much as we can in part 2. I can restart it next week. So something new, a new feature that we're doing here for all you guys out there. Another way for you guys to listen live and be a part of the conversation. So Spencer, I know you had a lot going on this year. We had a nice vacation this year.
We did.
Yeah, back in April. Feels like forever
I
ago.
was just gonna say it feels like a year,
Yeah.
more than a year ago.
Yeah, that was back in April. But I mean, how's your year been? I mean, what are we looking at here as far as reflection?
I
And kind of see where the conversation goes here.
So I tend to be the guest around the holidays, it seems like, and maybe that's because other people can't come on, or maybe I'm available, but you know, we were driving through the neighborhood and stuff like that over the past few days, and for me, it was a different type of holiday just because it didn't fully feel like it's the end of the year. I don't know if that's just the weather or what, but it didn't fully have that full Christmas that I'm used to. And you know, I've been here in the studio, in the garage, when it's been, you know, when we've been bundled up and wear our Under Armour and do all that stuff. And I did wear nice socks, but I don't even think I needed those. Warm socks, I should say.
They're probably nice though.
They are nice.
Yeah.
They're not as necessary.
Fleece.
Yeah, I think when we were talking about around Thanksgiving time, it's like preparing for a storm that hasn't come yet. Like we got through COVID. We're kind of 1 or 2 years into past it.
Yeah.
And COVID seems years ago. It does not seem a year or 2 years ago. And I feel like the world's about to explode, but it doesn't feel like it's exploding on our doorstep the same way it was this time 4 years ago or 8 years ago.
Right.
So I am cautiously optimistic about 2024. But again, I think it might just be the weather around this time of year where it just doesn't feel like, I mean, it feels like New Year's, but it doesn't feel like the same. All right, let's start anew as other years have in the past.
Why do you think it is?
It might be because of the weather. It might be because of what's going on personally or professionally with my life. But I don't know. It just doesn't have that same Happy New Year feel like it has in years past for me personally. I can't put my finger on it exactly, but I feel like the world was in chaos and now it's not as much in chaos. And I feel like the world is going to be in chaos again. And but it hasn't been on our doorstep with the same intensity.
Wait till the political act.
I know that's where I'm going, but it hasn't been, I haven't felt the same intensity that I have 4 years ago or 8 years ago. Does that make sense at all?
It's felt weird down here because there's barely any Christmas lights. It's like,
yeah,
it didn't feel like
50 degrees. I went for a run today, and it just didn't feel like it's December 27th or whatever day it is.
Yeah, I think the weather has something to do with it. I think I don't know. It's an interesting time. I feel is because it's kind of this. There's these really faint echoing types of things coming around right now. You know, you kind of hear some more blips. I don't know what you guys listen to, but you know, more blips of like COVID and stuff like that.
I've heard much of the COVID thing.
Yeah, so I had AJ Kasperzak, who's been on the show before multiple times.
Coffee guy.
One of his other jobs is he is a beer distributor rep, and he was saying that there was a handful of his accounts that are now requiring their employees to mask up. And so he's seeing some of these like blips, and not everyone's seeing that, but it's happening right now. That's what I'm saying. It's blips. So it's like these faint echoes of the more recent years. For example, you know, Kristen and I are planning on going to Fido, a neighbor of Tinder Box, for New Year's. They're closing at 10 p.m.
Wow.
What does that mean?
What?
They won't be open for midnight, which is New Year's here. So like we're going, they do an Irish toast, which is 7 p.m., which is midnight in Ireland. So they're doing that, but it's a Sunday. Normally right now on Sundays, they close at 10. I feel as though their response is, I really haven't seen a whole lot of great crowds. And I'm like, you probably wouldn't in 2020.
Maybe we can swing over to that.
We're going for the 7 o'clock toast. Yeah. If you guys want to swing by before your party.
Yeah.
But I think I get what you're saying. I don't, obviously the weather is different.
Not complaining, just different.
I'm not complaining either, but I get what you're saying. Everyone kind of just seems tired. Everyone's just, you know, kind of exhausted over the last few years. And it's a sad state of affairs, in my opinion, because, you know, I hear people, I think as you get older, obviously you don't necessarily do as much typically, but some people do, whether you have kids or you don't have kids. But it's like, you know, I've done the New Year's dinners where you have a reservation for, you know, a small, I know you do it every year, Nate. I know you're going to get into that. You know, very steady over here, Nate Hale, with his New Year's plan. Yeah, which is also his birthday.
I don't know if the New Year's, he'll tell me.
He'll tell you.
Okay.
We'll get to that. And it's nothing bad. I think it's great.
Are there green beans?
Probably.
Okay.
But I think that there's a veggie of some sort.
Probably. Maybe. Depends.
Should be. It's good for you. But I just think that like I've done that. I've done the house parties. I've done, you know, the bar nights and stuff like that. But I hear a more common theme that it's just and maybe it's just my social circle, but it's nothing exciting. No one really knows what to do. You know, and I think that there's a little bit of a tired sense of people just over the last few years. It's you couldn't do anything at one point. Nothing was open really. Some things were opening back up, and now over the last few years, it's kind of people aren't as excited. I don't know why that is. I think that there should be
I think
stuff
a lot
there
of it.
that
Sorry,
excited
a
about.
lot
I
of
think
it could
people
be.
should be.
Oh, sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You're fine.
I was just going to say, I think it's a lot of it's coming down to a monetary thing. You know, a lot of people are struggling with groceries and gas and all the other stuff. So all that going out doesn't just seem that appealing right now because everybody's pinching pennies and all that kind of stuff.
And yet, bourbon sales are still up.
I think the market's
Look.
peaked a little bit.
Liquor and beauty will never suffer during a depression. That's just a fact.
You say beauty?
Beauty, yeah.
Beauty.
Yeah,
I thought
like
you were going to say
beauty, like-
tobacco.
Like beauty, like taking care of yourself, like going to the barber or the hairstylist, you know, keeping yourself well maintained. That food a little bit and liquor always stay up.
I like this comment out there from Sean. You know, don't you think once you break a routine that it's hard to get back into that? And I think that is part of it, Sean. I think, you know, there was a time people had these traditions or they were doing stuff. And again, as life happens, you're going to have, you know, whether it be family changes or whatever the changes might be, location changes, relationship changes. I mean, it does change over time, but I agree, Sean Anderson out there, you know, that you do break a routine. It's hard to get back into it. A lot of times the things you used to look forward to, and then it's in a sense taken away from you, like we went through. Now we're back at a point that you have the ability to do this stuff again. You have the ability to go out. And then I mentioned, I don't know if this is a common thing, but a place that I've spent New Year's before is something that even they are just like, nah, we're not doing it. It's like, well, okay. I mean, I guess this is their move going forward. It used to be, I remember back in the day at like Fido, this pub next door to Tinder Box, it would, I mean, they'd have a DJ, they'd have like a theme and all that stuff. And then I feel like over time, they've been in business for a long time. Their management is older now. They're not the party crowd that's running the place. So I think that's part of it as well. But I do think that there's a potential there. But I would be curious to hear from different people that are in like the restaurant industry. Are like reservations big on New Year's Eve still? I mean, is it house parties? Is it just we'd rather just spend a nice quiet evening at home and ring in the new year and hope to stay up? But I hear a lot of times too, as I get older, people I talk to that they're just like, I don't even stay up for it anymore. And you're just like, I get it. Do you not celebrate other holidays on top of that? I mean, how numb are we as we get older that we don't celebrate certain things? Or do you pick and choose? Sometimes you're big on like Christmas, or you're big on 4th of July, you're big on birthdays, you're big on Valentine's Day, but New Year's just is not your holiday. You don't want to be out there. I mean, we call it like amateur night, you know, as far as being out on the roads and stuff. And whether you're driving or you're in an Uber or a taxi or whatever, I mean, it's still amateur night. So it is dangerous to go out when the number is there.
So I was at a club last year in Pittsburgh. We were with a few other couples, and I think something that's changed is the college football playoff. Is that they've decided to do that on
semifinals,
right? Yeah, and I mean we were literally watching, you know, the ball drop, and OSU was kicking the field goal basically at the same time last year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I think a lot, you know, for the people that are interested in that, they've made that okay. We don't have to do because we are entertaining you on that day. It's also as we get older, right? If we were, you know, 25, it'd be a whole different thing as far as what you wanted to do.
Why?
Because we're cooler, we had more energy, we want to do more stuff.
Part of that's true.
You know,
those are
in years
facts.
past, had done the tuxedo thing, had done the all you can drink hotel thing, had done a bunch of different things. You know, this year we're doing a pajama thing. It's who you hang around with, what stage of life you're in. Do you have kids? Do you not have kids? Are you in a relationship? Are you not in a relationship? And those are types, or you just, hey, you want to spend time with your significant other and just lay low. But but I think you have the ability to make it whatever you want to make it. But I know in years past when we've done this podcast, I think I've been on this podcast this time of year a couple times where it's all right, new year, new you.
Right.
Where do you want to be at this point next year? What do you want to say? Stuff like that. I think all those possibilities are still there for you, for us. It's just, what do you want to do in your life? But Nate, I do not know what your tradition is. Are you traveling at all?
No.
Okay.
No. So
Thank God.
for all of us,
Jesus.
302 miles.
no. So New Year's Eve is my birthday.
Every year.
Yes, that's how birthdays work.
No, he liked it.
You're welcome. This guy likes it.
Damn, like
He's
He's very lonely wherever he's at.
I
Right?
play for an audience of one.
this year, Sunday will actually be my 40th.
Ocean Club?
Big one.
Yep. So every year, my wife and I go to Ocean Club in Easton.
Attaboy.
There was one year we went to a different Cameron Mitchell restaurant, and we left there and we're like, yeah, let's go back to Ocean Club next year.
Which Cameron Mitchell?
M.
That's not your style, bro.
Whatever.
Isn't that downtown,
so
M?
yeah,
Fancy.
I like them.
Ocean Club. I mean, yeah, I like the food
Bougie.
better at Ocean Club than at M.
M shut down, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Stop going there.
But no, so like we have reservations at 6:00, and so we'll probably be out of there by 8. We'll be home 8:30, or definitely before 9:00, and then
Damn, Nate.
I mean, well, and that's how we are.
You're pushing MCL times right now for dinner.
But like Steve,
The cafeteria?
I like about MCLs. Everything's like soft food.
Oh, I forget about
but like,
it.
but like Steve brought up the whole amateur hour thing. It's like, yeah, we're home before all that stuff. Before people are really going nuts for New Year's and stuff. And yeah, my wife and I, we have a nice dinner. That's one of the reasons why my mom specifically will get me a gift card to Cameron Mitchell restaurants because it'll be used on my birthday. But yeah, I mean, we go there, we have a nice dinner, then go home, crack a bottle of wine, watch a movie, and then watch the ball drop. I'm like, all right, cool. I gotta go to work tomorrow.
What movie are you watching?
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, no.
last
Big
year,
day, but yeah. Well,
I mean, last year we were watching the OSU Georgia game, so
don't have to worry about that this year.
yep. There was one year it was actually even warmer than what it's going to be this year, and I mean, right at New Year, I was sitting on the back patio, when the New Year rang in, and you hear fireworks going off, and then you hear some other stuff going off. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll go back inside.
They're not all fireworks.
They're not all fireworks.
They sound like fireworks. And then the next door app is like, did you guys hear that?
Yeah,
It's
if
like,
you're
I heard it.
if
Like,
you're one of those assholes, stop. Just don't do that. Stop it. Quit.
Exactly.
well, I'm early happy birthday to you from everyone at the podcast and the community. I mean, that's
Happy birthday.
40 years
40
old.
is a good one.
Yeah,
You feel 40?
he's
No.
not. Next podcast, he'll feel 40.
I'll watch it, Bobby.
But no, actually, it's
So
it's
is
funny you
yours.
say that because one of the reasons I don't is because earlier, if I was still at AEP doing the same thing I was doing a year ago, and you asked me if I felt 40, I'd probably say yes, if not older, because I was miserable doing what I was doing this time last year.
Okay.
So because at the beginning of this year, I made a career change. I'm a lot happier doing what I'm doing now. I've lost, 25, 30 pounds since I started that job. So I feel better than I have in the past.
Yeah, no, I can see it in you too.
Thank you. No, so I mean, my mom had asked me the other day at Christmas when we were together. She's like, are you excited that you're turning 40? And I'm like, and she's like, just another day, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, just another day.
It shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be.
Well, I mean,
That's where I'm going with the whole New Year's thing too. It shouldn't be just another day.
why?
What do you mean?
I just, I don't think we should just ignore milestones. I don't think we should ignore another day, another year. I think this is something that, again, that's what I was kind of mentioning. Like, some people celebrate your birthday every year. So hear me out, Nate. I mean, I love tradition and all that stuff, but maybe for the 40th, I mean, I'm not going to tell you to do something totally different, but it's like, if you treat it as the same every year, every day, it will lose its excitement. Like, I want to say that, there's something for tradition. I absolutely love it. I was mentioning earlier about, like starting new tradition with Kristen. Now we're 2 years in, she's moving in. And I don't even say she's moving. We're moving in together is the way I look at this, right? So this is exciting for me because there is a new aspect to it. We're starting new traditions together. But if you're not excited about the tradition, I'm not saying you're not. I'm just like turning 40. Oh, it's another day. That's huge.
Well,
There's a lot of emotions in there. I mean, I'm 43 now.
Are you?
Yeah. And I'm looking at things a little bit differently when you see, and I know I'm not like 60, but I'm like, I have a lot of friends that are in their 60s and 70s. You hear people that pass away, and it's not necessarily, they didn't die super young. They were like in their late 70s. And you're like, well, I mean, that seems young, but it isn't. And so it's like, we all think that, you have maybe 90 years, but what's the quality of life?
It's all relative.
Right. So I'm looking at it, it's like, like when we do this episode, the New Year's, like it actually bothers me that people and some of my, not traditions, but things I've done in the past, like with the Fido thing or with, getting together with people. And it's like this year, like Kristen and I were like, hey, let's maybe go to Easton and see, again, no kids. And we're just like, we're not necessarily bar hoppers, but it's like, that sounds like a fun thing to do. It's right up the road from us. And like all our friends are like, well, I'm doing this, or I'm not gonna do anything. And you're just like, it is just another day to a lot of people. And you're like, I don't like that, because again, with the birthday thing, it's like, these are milestones that it's like, if you can't get excited about that, how are you going to get excited about like Whiskey Wednesday or like, what I mean? If all you're looking forward to, if the pure joy in your life is fucking Friday at 5, there's an issue. I know you're not like that, but I'm saying there are a lot of people out there like that.
Yeah.
They look more forward to a weekend than they do a holiday.
Yeah.
And they look at it like, because
it's Monday.
Holidays, it's like I got a lot of work to do and all that stuff. And it's like, I agree with that. And I'm fortunate that, like Kristen did a lot for the holiday, because this is a tough time of the year for me, for sure. She does a lot all the time, but it's one of those things where it's like, I look at this and I'm like, there should be excitement, for the individual holidays, the birthdays, the things like that. I think that there's,
when you're done at Fido, if you guys want to come over and open a bottle of champagne,
if you would have moved to this, area code.
Your ass is at Ocean Club. Go to Fido. I think that's the move.
That's the better move. Yeah, you're actually on the same block.
Yeah.
So we'll meet you. When's your reservation?
6.
All right, we'll be there at 7. So if you want to come over right after dinner, but no, yeah, let's drive to Hilliard. Let's drive 45 minutes. My point is that I think that, and I've been in that I almost call it like a rut.
I like where your head's at here, Steve. I like it.
I think there should be more excitement, and I feel like there have been times and years in my life that New Year's was really fun and good and exciting. Other years that it was like a new year and whatever it was. I was single. I didn't know what to do with it. So it's like
a couple of years ago, we had COVID during New Year's, and it was a whole different ballgame.
Right,
as far as
absolutely.
what you could do.
I do look forward to my birthday dinner. Like, I do look forward to that.
But not your birthday.
That's the
What?
day the dinner
You're
falls
picking
on.
off there.
That's the day the dinner falls on.
That's not.
I mean,
what?
but that's why we don't go to Ocean Club like throughout the rest of the years, because, like that's, we kind of save that to make it a
special day
for my birthday.
So are you getting a special bourbon or a special bottle of wine or a big ass steak or something like that?
I usually do usually get a steak when I'm there. It depends on what the specials are.
Fair.
Jess and I'll get calamari, and they'll make it fresh to where there's no breading on it, so that way she can eat it.
It does not look that does not look as good though, right?
Still tastes good.
I'm sure it does.
Arby's don't make Barbie, Steve.
But yeah, I mean, so I mean, there was one year. There was one year
Never
though.
heard that before.
There was one year though. Like
Write that down.
Jess was actually sick
I'd rather not.
on my birthday, so that was, I think, the only time we actually got out of Ocean Club for under $100.
Sure.
Because she wasn't feeling well. But no, like we always look forward to that meal because we intentionally don't go there throughout the year, so that way it is something special.
Yeah.
Making that reservation and having that dinner. And
Do
get
you
the
understand what point he's trying to make?
He does.
yes.
Okay, that's all I care.
Would you
about.
pass me one of the bottles there? Shannon, what about you? What are your thoughts on
What
this?
did you think about what I poured you?
I thought it was very good. I don't know
Well, yeah,
what it was.
what is this? I think
yeah,
this is
we've
great.
been drinking. I think it was very good. A lot of caramel to it.
Knob Creek 12-year.
Attaboy.
Nice.
There you go.
That's the bourbon for
That-
those out
yeah.
there.
I also have a
drinking
Knob
rye.
Creek. It's not foolproof, but it's like 120
Yeah.
proof. It's a red.
That's the single barrel.
That's that. So that I have one of those at home. I don't have the 12-year.
Yeah. So the single barrel, they bottle it at 120 proof. I think all the others they do at 100 proof. Maybe not the smoked maple. But yeah, the bourbon, the rye, the 12-year. I think even the 18-year they do at 100 proof. But
So,
then the single barrel they
As
do
fellow
120.
bourbon drinkers, you see how much is left with this. Do you and audience out there, do you all try to save the bottles that are down to this, or do you try to get through them?
Get
Um, Yeah, I try to, as you've seen on the bar here, is especially some of the stuff from the podcast, that we've been fortunate enough to get. Some of the stuff that's not even available in Ohio, I will try to hold on to, and it's usually not for me because, like, when you come over, Nate, the neighbors come over, I like to be able to offer something, you know what I mean? That, hey, have you had this? And some of the stuff, like I've still got like Jephthah Creed, all 3 bottles.
Mhm.
Some of that stuff
Do
is
you like saying, not saying, but like knowing that you have more bottles?
Here's the thing: if I kill those bottles, I'm not going to replenish them, and I would rather have those bottles for either a unique pour sometime down the road, or more often for me, it's to have something that when people come over, it's something for them to try.
And
And that's it.
No offense.
Sometimes I'll
if
have a
they
sip.
if they kill that bottle, you are
No,
not
they'll
offended.
kill it, or I'll have a drink of the same with them. Like even on, I think it was
Yeah.
Christmas Eve. Matt, my neighbor, came over, and it was right before it was Christmas Eve, because right before we had the beef tenderloin, and he came over just to say hey, and I said, well, do you want to have a try of something? And I poured the same. I think we were drinking wine at that moment.
Hate to interrupt, but because someone's asking me, I think it's the 27th. It's a Thursday in January. The VP of product development for Bardstown,
Yeah, it's on the calendar.
Yeah. they are going to be at Carfagna's for a whiskey dinner. Do either of you gentlemen want to go? It starts at 6:00.
Wait,
What is the
25th. 25th.
Okay, so what is the plan?
It's 24th is on the calendar. Wednesday.
Thursday's Bardstown. So Raj sent me the wrong date.
Oh, then we're not doing that.
What date? So 24th or
Thursday.
25th?
25th.
At what time?
Starts at 6.
We will see. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's only like 4 tickets left.
Well, let's do the show, and then we can talk about it afterwards. How about that? Well, Spencer, you want to commit to that? That's fine.
I'm just I'm putting it in the calendar. How much is the dinner?
Don't worry about it right now. The question is, do you want to go?
What is included in this dinner?
It's probably going to be a 4-course meal, cocktail,
I'm in.
and then different.
There's a good chance I'm in, but I need to verify with
Mark down for 2
my lady
tickets.
friend.
Or mark down for 4 tickets. I'll take all 4.
There you go.
There you go.
I mean, we
4
can do,
tickets. Can you put down 4 tickets?
just buy all 5 that are left.
All right.
There it is. Done.
Are you so we've done this podcast in years before.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've done it. Are you are not
Oh, it's
a
heavy
New Year's-
appetizers. Sorry, it's not dinner. It's heavy appetizers.
Love some good apps.
I just want to spend time with you.
Okay.
Are you pro New Year's resolution or anti? Because I was asked this yesterday, and I felt I had no like, what do you want to improve on? What do you
How
want?
about this? I say New Year's reflections. more than anything. I think it's
On the year prior, on the year upcoming.
I think you can't. Like, I don't know how you can make resolutions. I think as a whole, a lot of times are just short-sighted failures. Most likely for most people, you know what I mean. Like,
What about
this
for you?
year, I'm gonna do this, huh?
What about for you?
For me, it's tough to come up with them. Other than maybe some more personal things that I don't really like to share. You know, I mean, it's something that I want to improve on, whether it be.
So you're not a lose 20 pounds guy because
No.
you're already at the gym. You're I want to feel better type deal.
I want to feel better. I want to, make improvements in this area of my life with this, arena of my life. It's like going into it. Like, again, with me this year, for example, like I'm starting a new chapter in my life with Kristen and I moving in together.
It's not
So
self-imposed,
it's
but
more of, I look at this time as a growing period for us. This is a new experience for us. And we have both been through a similar thing before, living with someone. So again, at our age and our life experience, this is something that, I've learned a lot. And, the timing was not the greatest with what's been going on with me, my work schedule, and then with everything else. Like, I'm looking forward to taking some reflections from this and really taking that in the new year and seeing, can I learn from my past, and then with this current, looking forward future and making this the best so that it lasts. I want to be my best self from me first, and then also for the person that I'm with, because it's something that I think that this last year, we were in a relationship. I had my life going, my job, my career. She had her job, her career.
not cruise control, but had it down.
It's more or less that I feel as though we wouldn't be in this situation if we didn't have a successful 2023 in that arena. I want to make sure that going forward, it's not a resolution. It's just like, keep your finger to the pulse and really try to not take anything for granted. Don't go on cruise control, like you said, but really try to make sure that you're enjoying it. Going back to the whole thing of, like a holiday, like New Year's, it's like you can treat it like another day, or you can take the opportunity to not be stupid with it, but actually appreciate that this is your life going into a new year. Why do we have, these calendar years if we're not going to actually use a calendar to remind yourself of some resets, some moments of reflection? I don't think, like, otherwise there wouldn't be even days of the week.
Well,
Yeah, I'm with you, Steve.
Retired.
What's that?
Said I'm with you, Steve. I usually take New Year's as a time to reflect over the last year, where I could improve myself, where things kind of went off the rails, and where I can kind of rewire it, reset. I don't do resolutions or none of that shit. I just kind of refocus and kind of move forward on the next steps.
Shannon, you had mentioned that you had a couple stories. What is your top story of the adventure you guys have been on?
Man, I don't know if there's a top. We've had a lot of.
Keep in mind, I'm going to listen to us on 2-speed, so take your time.
You're listening live right now.
Not a man.
No, we've done a lot of cool stuff. Just a quick overview. We did 6 weeks in Michigan, up in the UP, and then down the west coast of Michigan. Did a lot of cool stuff there. Then we made our way across the northern U.S. Spent time on a buffalo farm. We spent time in Bozeman, Montana, where my buddy lives. Then we made our way to Cody, Wyoming. We spent almost 3 months in Cody, Wyoming, and doing a work camp where I worked at this campground. So I worked Monday through Thursday. Then I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Then we could just go.
As a barber or as something else?
No, I just worked in the front office, just checking people in, stuff like that.
Okay.
So for working there, we got our stay for free, which is cool. And then, we did Yellowstone 5 or 6 times. There's all kinds of crazy shit to do in that area. It's such a beautiful area. And then I would say I think the highlight so far has been Albuquerque, New Mexico for the Hot Air Balloon Festival. That was insane.
Yeah.
Like, I would suggest anybody can make it out there and just do it one time. It's a must. It was just, it's hard to put into words. I honestly, I was like, we're gonna go watch hot air balloons. I wasn't into it, you know. I was like, what the hell is this? But we got there, and it was the most amazing 10 days ever. So that was amazing. Then we spent almost 2 months in New Mexico traveling through, staying at all these different places. So we did Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Los Alamos, where the atomic bomb was made.
I just saw
Fort
Oppenheimer.
Sumner.
Need to
Yeah.
watch that.
I mean, that's Los Alamos, right?
Yep. Yeah, his name's on one of the main streets is his name. Then we did Fort Sumner, where
Yeah,
Billy the
need to
Kid
watch
was killed. You know, was shot and killed supposedly.
Allegedly.
Did the allegedly exactly. Did the museum. Then we went down to Roswell. Did the whole alien thing. That was nuts.
Legit or not? What's going on there?
It's a fun
You
little
say,
town.
I mean, if you don't want to say,
Do you
'cause you're on here.
believe?
Hang on. If you can't say it on Facebook and YouTube, then don't just say no comment.
Blink
I
twice.
may or may have shook a hand of an alien. I don't know. I'll
What?
just leave it there. No, there's all these crazy museums there and all kinds of wild shit. So that was cool to see. And then we went to Alamogordo, New Mexico, and that's where Holloman Air Force Base is. So we camped right next to the Air Force Base. It's a big training. So jets were flying every day doing training and dropping bombs. There's a live bomb missile range right where we were. So they were dropping bombs. It was nuts.
While you were
It
there,
was Yeah. Oh, yeah. The first time it happened, we were sitting in the RV and I had the generator going, charging up the batteries. And our RV felt like it was coming apart. I thought the generator blew up. I'm like shutting shit off. I'm like looking around, like running around the RV. I come outside, I'm looking. And then as soon as I got outside, dude, they dropped like 5 missiles at once, like boom, 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 boom.
are there like signs somewhere? Like,
Yeah, it tells you like you're in a live missile.
Live
Like,
bomb range.
please
Yeah,
don't
it's-
park here.
No, it's like a big boondocking area where you can camp next to this lake, but you're right next to the Air Force Base. It was bananas. So that was cool. And then it's a big, New Mexico's known for their pistachios. That's a big area to
I didn't
grow.
know that.
That and green chilies.
And green and red chili. So
And red
their
chilies.
big question is green or red every time you go to a restaurant. We left Alamogordo. We did 10 days there. Went to El Paso. Did Thanksgiving with our friends in El Paso. Funny story there. We went out and we were exploring around. So me and Shannon are driving. It's like, oh, let's go check out the border wall. We're driving down this road. I turn on this road and I'm going, and I'm looking, and it says the exit to the border crossing. Bro, I locked up the fucking truck and locked them up. I thought we were going into but all I had to do was go straight and make a left, and we would have went away from the border. It was nuts. And there was just people everywhere waiting, like their backpacks waiting to catch a ride from somewhere. It was wild to see. Then we left there, hit San Antonio for 2 weeks to see my parents, and then we came down here. This is, 2 weeks now? I think we've been here 2 weeks now.
Nice.
So there's a lot of shit that
Did you
happened in
wanna-
between.
you had a
We did
question?
Carlsbad.
I do. Nate has a question about sex. Do both of you say the other person's name during sex?
Wait,
Right.
what? Oh,
No, everyone's been thinking about this. Like,
No.
you've been whispering this in my ear. Ask him.
no,
do
I
it.
have not.
I'll ask him.
I have not.
So please answer Nate's
Pour this
question.
guy another drink.
No names.
No names. Thank you.
No
that was
names.
what I asked. I don't believe you, but that's fine.
Wow.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in. It's been a great episode.
No, it's been a good journey. It's had its for me growing pains, learning about myself, because I talked to Steve about this a little bit when I came home, that
Yeah.
it's been hard to step away from my career and just like she works, Monday through Friday. I don't do shit during the week. So it's been kind of hard. Little depression here and there, just kind of missing home a little bit, missing being in the barbershop, stuff like that. But nothing that haven't worked out. And like she knows about it. We talk about it, but it's had its ups and downs. Nothing bad in the down. You just get a little depressed. You're just like, fuck, man, I'm just sitting here doing nothing. I've worked all my life. Now I'm just sitting here doing nothing, you know?
So around the holidays, and I
Yeah.
get a little tinge of it too, you know, around family and just, you know, whatever. So if you do get into those modes of just a slight tinge of depression or loneliness or boredom or anything like that, is there a trick that you do to get out of it? You think, hey, I got it good, or these are all the good things, or, you know, you've been isolated from the world for a little bit.
I try to
It's
think
not
about the
isolated,
good
though.
things, but it's just weird. It's just I'm a people's person. I love being around people, and when we're boondocking, there's nobody. It's just us, or maybe there'll be 5 or 6 other RVs off in the distance somewhere, but you know, you're not really around anybody. So it's just me and the dog taking walks nonstop all day long, you know, just exploring, or I'll hop in the truck and go somewhere and just explore stuff. But yeah, it's for me, just being around people's like been my biggest disconnect for me. It's been the hardest part, I think, to get over. So like
What's
she
on
could
tap
be,
for next year, man?
we don't know yet. After the first of the year, that's where we're going to sit down and try to see what we want to do, if we're going to come back that way, or like I'd love to go see Arizona and Utah and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I feel like I might need a reset. I know she can keep going,
Reset how?
but just come home, reset, jump back in a shop, get working again. Just I don't know. I feel like I'm leaving a lot of my work. You know, I'm 48. I'm leaving a lot of my work time on the table right now to produce, and I
Producing
want to
years.
produce. Yeah,
Sure.
and I'm in a position, and she's in a position now that if we did come back, we can take off for a couple weeks at a time and go do things, and not be gone constantly. So I don't know. Like I said, we got to talk about it and just figure it out and see what the next best course of action is going to be.
We did a weekend in Hocking Hills, you know, just in a little camper. Definitely get in tune with nature and all that good stuff. But 2 or 3 days was about max for me. Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I give you a lot of credit for just being in confined space with another individual. That takes a lot
And
of
that's been the
lot of
easy
patience.
part. That's been the easy
Oh,
part with me
wonderful.
and her. Like, we don't fight. We don't have any blow ups or anything crazy. So,
It's incredible.
and I guess it does help. We move every 7 to 10 days and go somewhere. So that does help a little bit. You get to their new spot. It's all exciting. You're going to checking stuff out. But then after like 3 or 4 days, I'm just like sitting there like, oh shit. I can only look at social media so much before I want to blow my brains out.
I don't think social
post
media is
more.
good for it. I don't think that's going to be the key.
Oh wait, don't post more.
Has this experience going, you know, packing up everything in RV, going all over the country, like, has it been what you anticipated it being, and what's been the biggest difference between like what you thought it was going to be versus what you've experienced?
It's definitely hit my expectations and a little bit more, just all the things we've done. Like everything I went over a little bit, there's so much in between there that we've done and seen. It's just incredible. My biggest thing is just not producing. I think the man part of me comes out where I'm not leading the household. You know what I mean?
But you knew that was going to happen going into this. I mean, you were leaving the barbershop traveling.
Doesn't change. No, it doesn't change.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it, but I've never experienced it, so I didn't know what it was going to feel like. You know, once we got almost all the way through Michigan, I was like, holy shit, this is probably going to be a little tougher than I thought for me, just sitting back, because I don't want to feel like the burden's on her the whole, but she knew, we discussed that before we left, and we knew that was a game plan, but it's been good. Like, I wouldn't change it for anything. I'm glad we did it. It's been amazing. We just got to see what we're going to do next. It's
I like that though, because Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's definitely cheaper to do this out west compared to the East Coast. Because out west, you can boondock anywhere you want for free. Once you get to the East Coast, it's more campgrounds where it's going to cost you way more money to stay somewhere. So that's what we got.
What does boondock mean? I don't know what that means.
Boondocking is basically you're all self-contained in the middle of nowhere. So out in the desert, out in the forest, and you got all your own water, your own electricity, everything. So we're not plugged into anything. We're just out in the middle of nowhere, just surviving.
What do you prefer? A little bit of both. I'm gonna guess.
I like boondocking a lot, but every once in a while, it's nice to get to a campground and just kind of reset.
See some
kind
people.
Of thing. Yeah, because when you boondock, you have to really conserve your water. So I got a 90-gallon freshwater tank. So when you're taking your showers, it's like the military, just get in, get out kind of thing. And then when you get to a campground, you're hooked up to something, you can take the nice, long, hot shower. That's like heaven. Oh, my God. You don't realize how much you miss it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But boondocking is cool because you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're in the beautiful scenery. And like New Mexico, we're camping up in these mountains and the sunsets every night were insane. Like we were in Alamogordo, that's right next to White Sands, that big national park, White Sands. That was cool. There's just so much stuff out there. I mean, I'm glad I'm doing it. Carlsbad's Caverns is in New Mexico. That's a cool freaking hole in the ground. I'm gonna tell you what. That was badass. It's in the middle of nowhere. Fun fact, we were there about 4 a.m. There was almost a 6.0 earthquake.
That's not a fun fact, by the way.
I was just going to say the exact same thing.
No,
well, it was about 50. It was about 50 miles away in Pecos, Texas.
I don't think I've ever been there.
So you got missiles firing near you.
Aliens.
Good. You want to make friends with them because that's the future, probably. And then you have earthquakes. So I feel as though your fun facts are horror stories for most.
I think you got a little UFO behind you.
That's Photoshop.
Yeah, it's just my backdrop.
We were
wild.
That's his friend.
We were out in my buddy's hunting cabin earlier this year and smoking a little Mary J and had some bourbon and some beers.
Cigar.
Mary Juana, and we thought we saw UFOs, legit UFOs.
You're just high as fuck.
Well, that did not help the situation. But we didn't know till the next day it was the Elon Musk's. It was Starlink, but we didn't know that was happening. And we were literally like some kid was videotaping it, like we are seeing UFOs. This is happening, and it was the Starlink satellites.
The first time we saw that, we were in.
For you, it was UFO.
It was.
You didn't know what it was.
I still think that's wild.
We were watching
the definition is on it.
It's a trap. It's like I don't know, 50, 100,000. I don't know. Satellites going through the air. It's the wildest thing in the world.
We were watching them in PA, and one would pop up and another would pop up. I'm like, what the fuck is? And we're all looking up at this shit. And the same thing. We were freaking out, and somebody's, oh, that's just Starlink. We're like, what?
Were you also smoking weed?
No, sir.
Or any
real
other
drunk.
I suggest
psychedelical like
LSD, Molly,
gummy,
really.
Jack Daniels.
Oh,
let me ask you guys a question.
Please do.
Just get if you guys could get up and you sure about that?
Go ahead, ask your question.
That's what he wishes for New Year's.
That's what he wishes for. If you could get up and say you leave on Friday, where would you go? Where, like, is there a destination that you would want to fly to, drive to, and experience?
I like Fiji. I've seen it in Instagram and on postcards and stuff like that.
Movies.
But those little ass huts that you're like sitting right in the water.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it takes to get there. I don't know what it takes to get there. But those huts that are sitting in the ocean, I want to go to one of those. That Greek Isles look good. That blue water. I want blue water.
He didn't go to Fiji. He went to the Maldives, and he said it was incredible.
I'm sure one of those is just fine. I don't know what the difference is, but something I want blue water. that sounds like heaven to me.
Nice. How about
Nate?
you, Nate?
If I
If you say Ocean Club, I swear to God.
no, I didn't hear.
No, it's Sunday night.
I didn't hear all of Shan's question.
Any place you could go.
Friday. You said leave Friday, right?
Leave Friday. You could fly or drive. What do you want to see and experience it?
I think Jess and I would probably pick because we had thought about this a few years ago for a vacation. Go out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Bruh, it's nice.
No
It's
cigar
real.
bar.
There's
your-
a cigar shop. If you go during the wintertime, there's a cigar
Bring
bar
your
that
own,
opens,
man.
but it's
Bring your own.
Bring
It's
your
only-
wallet and somebody else's because damn, it's expensive.
So
yeah.
bring your own, or do what Shannon doesn't do, and we'll ship.
No, not even the
Well,
cigar.
It's hard to
Jackson
ship to a
Hole is-
non-permanent address.
We can send
PO
it to you,
box.
bro.
They got
Yeah,
post
yeah,
office.
I
I
don't
got the solutions for
I
you.
know you do. But no, that was something Jess had talked about, 3 years ago, taking a vacation after my stepfather passed away. She wanted to go out to Wyoming, and I was like, yeah, but there's nothing to do out there. I'd rather go to Miami
Oh,
and not
you
necessarily
wouldn't be
go to the
bored.
beach, but at a condo with a pool and go to Eric Espinosa's warehouse and stuff and go to different cigar shops.
Can
Like,
line it up.
yeah, I know. That's
Miami's a fantastic destination. Different breed of human being over there. I like Miami.
Yes, it is.
Miami might be one of my favorite places that I've been to.
We drove down to Jackson Hole one day. We went down to the Tetons, then we drove into Jackson Hole. And there was some cowboy auction or party going on downtown Jackson.
How much you bid on that
And-
cowboy?
Shit, I couldn't even get near it, man. We're talking, these are like the big money people in the world. They're just walking around in their big old hats and boots, and they had the whole square shut down. It was bananas, man. Beautiful town, but we didn't get to experience it because it was shut down. Basically, they don't let peasants like us enjoy it.
Easy.
Steve, what about you? Where would you go?
There's a lot of answers to that, honestly. I'm a big fan of the all-inclusives like we went to. I mean, that's something that if any given Friday, if I could just be like, oh, let's like do
3-day
a
weekend.
long weekend, like, yeah, pick the resort and
I feel
be
like that's
treated like
doable.
royalty.
I feel like we could do that.
It is. And we have something lined up, and we've talked to you.
A little bit longer than
You've got a lot of text about it. We'll talk about it.
a little
We'll
bit
talk
longer
about
than a 3-day weekend, though.
it. No, but I mean, 3-day weekends are
could do
great.
it.
I mean, like we did that for my
Flying Friday,
birthday.
Saturday, Sunday.
It was 4 nights, but it was a long weekend or whatever, short week. But
I make
In
it
the
be a full
States-
week if you win.
yeah, I mean, in the States, there's a couple things that I've been wanting to do. Is love like the whole image of like Palm Springs, with like the old architecture out west. You know what I mean? But it's like
Is that California?
it's like it's like that. It's Nevada, California, Nevada. I think Palm Springs.
California.
desert.
Yeah. But it's like this town where
Okay.
there's a lot going on. But it was like this, like it was the heyday of like the 50s, 60s, I think.
I think
Yeah.
I saw
Bob
the
Hope
movie. I
created,
just don't know where
basically-
it is or what it is.
Huh?
I think Bob Hope created that little town, basically.
Right. So it's like it was like
caddied
old,
for
it was
him.
like old money. It was back. I think Frank had one, like like a house there. It was just all that
Yeah.
that kind of like 60s vibe, but it's just beautiful out there. Internationally, I mean, I love the all inclusives, and I just enjoy that time to relax. Kristen's been to Italy. I've always wanted to go to Europe. It's just one of those things that money's no object, as you were saying.
Money's no object.
That's what I was looking at. I'd love to do like a Mediterranean cruise, or at least like hit a couple spots.
Yeah.
Europe in general, it'd be interesting to see, but I don't want to do the whole train thing. I want to be like towards the coasts all over. You know what I mean? Whether it be Italy, Sicily, in that area, but just do like that Mediterranean style thing where to see that.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of history there, but it also has a little bit of what I like, which is the more relaxation and not necessarily like all inclusive vibe, but I would love to do that at some point. But
I wouldn't mind going to Ireland or Scotland.
Ireland is another one that I'd love to go to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd love to see
Sure.
England too. Just, I mean, like again, if there again, money's no object, it would be great to hit some of those spots. Like even to see London, you know, like even though it's more populated in city style, but it's like, yeah, like the Ireland and Scotland, I agree with you. Ireland, I'd love to go see just because I like the vibe. But I mean, me personally, if it was just like a weekend trip, you know, leave on Friday, it would be, you show me which all-inclusive to go to. I enjoy that because it is something that, what I like about the all-inclusive style thing is, and again, Spencer and I have been to one together with our ladies. It's, you really don't have to, like, you get to enjoy the people you're with. It's, there's no like,
We could have had fun in Toledo though.
we could have. It's nice to be able to just do whatever you want on the resort. You don't have to like look, like you look at the menu and you're like, I'll take that. Like there's no, it's nice to go into that when you have something that while you're there enjoying it, you don't think about anything else if possible. You don't have to think about the price of something. You don't have to think about like, oh, it's raining right now. You figure something out with no other, you know, sense of, but it's a change
All
of scene
inclusive,
because
like
we could,
like those choose your own adventure once you get there.
that's absolutely right. You do what you want to do. They were a great couple to travel with because it was like, picture this, you go with a couple friends, right? And there's just the four of you. And I know, Shannon, you've been on these trips before. And this is something that we already have a couple trips planned. I'm thrilled to go with just Kristen. We had a great, just two of us in October. It was great with Spencer and Jennifer. This was just something that it's like, we would even see them. It was like the perfect, I thought,
amount of time.
It was like, hey, we're going to eat dinner at these places, these nights, and everyone was in. Other than that, it's like, hey, in the morning, whoever wakes up, whoever wants to do, like, you know, we'll text when we get to the pool. And then at the same time, it was literally like Chris and I would be at breakfast and Spencer and Jennifer would walk into the same buffet. No, you weren't making love at the buffet, but they walk in and you just be like, hey, you know, like they'd walk in, you're on vacation with these people, but they'd sit at like another table. Cause it was like, it wasn't always this like, oh, let's do the breakfast this time.
Everything together.
Hey, let's make two more chairs. It was just like, hey, okay, cool. We'll see you at the pool later. There was this really nice mix of that. And I like that. So when you talk about that, like if it was just any given Friday, no big trip, but it was something that is substantial to that, that's my whole thing. But I'm good with like a cabin weekend when there's more planning, you get some groceries, do all that stuff. But I do like not only just Kristen and I, but I do like doing group things, whether it be a patio thing, going over to your place, Spencer, but doing those things where it's just enjoying the people that you're with, whether it be your significant other or your significant other plus people, a guy's weekend, whatever it might be. But it's truly just be in the moment, enjoy it, and don't overthink it.
So it is Nate's 40th
coming up, not
coming
today.
up.
Yeah.
And I know he wants to spend that special evening with his wife. That'll be a beautiful evening. But Nate, I think we should do a gentleman's dinner at your place of choosing.
That'd be nice.
But for your 40th, we should do something, just the gentleman, and invite whoever you'd like to do and wherever you'd like to go. But I think a night out, if you want to have a cigar, great. If you don't want to have a cigar, great. But I think that we should, as a group, do a gentleman's night out for your 40th birthday. That's the least we can do for it. Is a milestone. It is something to be celebrated. And I think that as a group, if you want to invite the three of us, if you want to invite additional people, we should do something for your 40th
guys,
birthday.
couples, whatever, open invite.
Yeah, guys, couples, anything. But we should do something for your 40th.
And we don't have many people listening right now, but if you guys do want to contribute, if you listen to this after the fact,
Patreon,
Venmo at Bourbon and BS. I'm just saying, if you wanna contribute to this dinner, you want to be a part of it, yeah, get a part of it.
So pick a night in January that works for you. And if you want to invite your wife, please invite your wife. If you don't want to invite your wife,
I feel like it's
not
a loaded thing.
It's not a loaded thing.
Yeah, honestly, knowing Jess as well as I do, if you guys sat there and said, "Hey, let's have a stag night," like,
so let's have a fucking stag night. Give her a night off,
what is this,
and let's fucking just go. We can have a nice steak or burger and have a cigar and have some drinks. Get an Uber. Don't fucking drive.
Red Robin,
we
let's
should
go.
You don't have to. I'm
Bottomless
not afraid of a
fries.
good time.
Light the Red Robin on fire that
So
night.
pick a night in January that works best for you.
I like that.
Send a
That's
text
really
out,
nice.
and we should do it. We will work around your schedule.
I think you overestimate how many guy friends I have.
3 is perfect.
Okay.
But I would like to do something for
Nate,
your
I'm flying
40th
in.
birthday.
Tell
We
me
should
where I
do
gotta
something
be.
for your
I'm
40th
flying
birthday.
in.
Absolutely.
This is not a this is a commandment, not a suggestion. So pick a night that works for you in January, and we will do a little stag night because you deserve a stag night for your 40th birthday.
And we will document it on the Bourbon BS community page.
I will there will be a picture.
One. Okay.
Oh, my
And-
Lord, I love it.
You know, you start talking about that, Spencer, and immediately Jess starts sitting there and like, hey, you could do it here and have food catered there.
All right. I got better ideas.
So does anybody like, is there something you're looking forward to in the new year? Not a resolution or any of that craziness, just like something you're looking forward to. Like Steve, you got the big move coming.
Yeah, I
Nate,
think with
or,
personal life, I've already said it. I mean, I'm excited about it. I want to I want to not mess this up, right? So it's one of those things that I'm looking forward to this new chapter in my life.
Random question before I lose train of thought while you're in your train of thought.
Take another sip there.
Are you actively you don't have to tell me the answer to the question, but is there something actively that you're trying to do better or different in general? Or is
that arena, or just
or
in
is
general?
it I got the person so that answers that question? Because it's the right person, it's a better fit, or is it actions that lead to that? And if that's too personal, I totally understand that.
No, it's I'll say this is that I've definitely found my person.
Because I'm a
and
stubborn motherfucker.
I know.
It's tough for me to change.
I know.
Yeah.
And you're a bear to be around. Don't
What was
put
that?
your hands
What
there.
was that?
Whoa.
What was that?
Hey,
Yeah.
Now I know why you guys went on vacation together.
Stag night, baby.
no, we never had that. For the record, let the record show.
Let the record show me. See, we're never alone
Yeah.
for longer than 15 to 35 to 45 minutes,
No,
depending on how long you last.
I feel confident that I found my person. I am really, no, it's not changing. It's just, it's growing with it. That's my thing.
Growing.
That my thing is that, there is a combination of, you guys live with your significant others, and it's not always easy. And I think that's how you handle the situations. It's about communication. And I don't want to lose that part of it, because I know that there are things that I do that frustrate people in my life. Not all the time, but there's things that frustrate people in my life, whether they're close friends, in the business, and obviously on the relationship side, is that I'm not perfect, and I don't do everything right all the time. I just want to make sure that I can navigate through that so that I make the best of the situation. That's the goal of this year.
Very logical.
It sounds logical, but it's not that always easy. That it's you guys comparing, you measuring over here.
His is clearly bigger than mine.
I just don't know how to answer this when you guys are. Professionally, we got some big things coming up. Smoking 10 event in March. I'm looking forward to that. Got to make sure that we sell it out. We got to make sure that we make it exciting.
What is the date on that?
March 16th. Got another big event that we're going to be involved with first part of June that I can't really talk about.
I'm excited for you guys for that.
Even though someone else is talking about that, even though they're not supposed to. But there's something big coming up there that we'll keep you guys posted on that. And other than that, it's just really, this is going to be, I think, a big year for me personally, because, this house is going to feel like a home.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be different
That's
than
huge.
before. Yeah, I know, right? It's going to be different than when I was single. I want to make sure it's the best it can be for Kristen and just even friends coming over. You know what I mean? Like you guys, the
Or
thing
she
that
can
people
make it the best for you.
she will. I'm sure of that part. It's more worried about the other side of that. You know, the other, but it's people don't always realize that doing this podcast, this is a different dynamic. This is a Wednesday night in my home that someone else is a part of, right? So this is something that I want to make sure that, you know, we can keep doing this for the community, for myself and everyone involved. But it's also people don't always realize that this is, you know, a home for me and Kristen and my dog Tony. That this is a disturbance that I appreciate both sides of it. It would be a lot easier on the home life if we did this somewhere else. But this is something that, you know, from the podcast standpoint, is that I want to make sure that we can continue the open line of communication with everyone that's listening, that's a part of this, that's a part of the show weekly. Nate, you know, you're here every week, and I appreciate your dedication to this and your contribution to this. Is that I want to make sure that we can have a good balance so that everyone involved, that, you know, Jess on your side, that, you know, that when you leave here, that everyone's safe. You know, Spencer, you know, Jennifer dropped you off. She's picking you up. This is something that I think that this is valuable to us. It's valuable. Like Shannon wants to be a part of this. Obviously, the people that are listening live or after the fact, this is something that if we stop this, everyone would be okay. But I think there's some value there that people enjoy the bits that they get from it. And I think that this is something that we need to be cognizant of, how this affects the people in our lives.
This
both
is
positive and negative.
This is sacred.
It is. I appreciate that.
This is sacred. This is sacred.
But it's a lot. You know what I mean? This is something that people don't realize, the dedication that goes into this. And it's not necessarily always planned out, but we do it every week. And there's a time commitment, and there's something there that luckily sometimes we open up some good thoughts there too, that benefit people that are on the show. Spencer, you mentioned that before. And then there's also, you know, Shannon as well. There's people that listen to it, and it's like, you don't think that it affects people the way it does. And then you hear that comment. Yeah. So I like that part of it.
More shit on iTunes.
I'm going to start. I mean, this is the part where the last week's month it's been overwhelming for me.
Fair enough.
And
you know, I'm just giving you a hard time.
Absolutely, but I want to make sure that I can keep being the best I can for everyone else, and that's, you know, going into the new year is how do you keep that level of engagement in every relationship you have, in everything you do. Level of engagement is something that should be. If there's a New Year's resolution out there, it's not about losing 20 pounds. It's not about going to the gym. It's not about eating better. It's keep the level of engagement with the people that are important to you at a level that you want it to be at, because I think that's probably the New Year's resolution that doesn't necessarily get committed to. And I think that it's something that the parameters are a little off, because you don't know what that maybe should be. But I think when you come down and think about it, is I think that the level of engagement is a very impactful factor in your life that you expect out of other people, or you want to expect out of other people. But sometimes you can't always navigate what that looks like in your level of effort every day. Yeah. But I think level of engagement starts with you, just like everything else. But I think the level of engagement of the people that are important to you is where problems can really arise and really be a compounded thing, where if you don't have that level of engagement with them, and you're committed to engaging with that person or the party that you're trying to put forth the effort, that's where we struggle. And vice versa. Obviously, you look forward to that. And I think it's both sides. You put that level of engagement out there, and at the same time, you should expect that back. And I didn't mean to have thumbs down, whatever that is.
Thumbs down.
I don't know. What do you guys
get
think?
it.
So this is 298. So this isn't like you've been doing this for the past like a month. What, 30 days to start a habit, 1 day to break it, whatever it is.
Sure.
This is 298. Like we're not fucking around here. Like this is, you're coming up on 300 straight weeks of this with I don't know, 3 or 4 missed episodes. And I mean, so this is
5 years of our lives.
right. This is part of your life, part of Nate's life, part of Jake's life, part of my life, part of a lot of people's lives.
Part of Jess's life, part
right.
of Kristen's life, part of Jennifer's life,
Right.
part of Shannon and Shannon.
To even toss that in the ether, even if there were 0 people listening, which there are not, I think that is a sacrifice that's not worth making or even discussing. So, in saying that, this podcast means a lot to me, means a lot to Nate, means a lot to you, means a lot to the studio audience out there. So
It's a lot of our connection.
there's something about this that is when people ask, tell me about yourself. Most people don't say, I like going on walks with my dog. I like working out. You know, most people start with what they do for a living.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. What they do for a living. And then you go beyond that. I do dinners. I watch football, on Sundays. I do steak dinners with my wife, whatever people's hobbies are. I play soccer. I travel, stuff like that. But being a part of the podcast is a part of my life. It's a part of your lives. And it's not something that can be to bring Jess into it, to bring Kristen into it, to bring Jennifer into it, to bring the Shannons into it. It is a part of us. And that is something that is, in my mind, non-negotiable. So
Well, I'm glad you think that way.
People knew this is what you do on Wednesdays, and this is what you fucking do on Wednesdays. And you change the days, and you sacrifice softball, and you sacrifice other stuff on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
But this is what you do on Wednesdays. And that just is what it fucking is. And not too many other people do that. Not too many people have the option to do that.
Sure.
But this is hey, I'm part of a podcast. I'm part of a community.
It becomes part of your identity.
It becomes part of your identity. Not just I work at Carfagna's, I work at Tinder Box, I sell cabinets. The podcast is part of the identity. Oh, some of them are nice.
Lappin Group is now available.
Yeah, we're thinking about. I was having the conversation with so do you bring bottles every week? No, Steve brings them. Sometimes Nate brings them and they're sponsors. Okay. And then, but there's something about this therapy session, which I always view it as a therapy session of some sort and you guys do this obviously every Wednesday. So I'm sure it does take some sort of toll, but this is part of who you are. And there are the 1,500, 2,000, whatever people there are in the community that whether they say it or don't say it, this is part of your identity and part of who you are and who you become. Like it or not, this has become beyond you and Nate.
Well, I mean, every single Wednesday, I mean, like we had it earlier today, but we get it just about every week. Like if Steve and I are running a little bit behind on getting everything started, someone inevitably is going to comment on the community page like, hey, is there an episode tonight? Like what's going on? Like that happens frequently. Yeah. Not every week, but it does happen quite often. And I think a lot of times when Steve and I see that post, we're like, guys, come on. We're just getting the banners and we're getting everything finalized. We're like, we're getting ready to go. Like just
I asked it earlier today.
We're getting ready to go.
Early.
I know.
It's enough out of you fucking Shannon.
I know, Shannon.
That's how you ended up on this stuff, Shannon. So you're good.
But the one of the things that it tells me though is there are other people out there that they make this part of their routine. Every Wednesday night or Thursday morning, like for Ray Cheshire, like this is something they look forward to. They want to be a part of that. They want to be in the comments. They want to engage with us and talk about whatever it is that we're talking about, whatever we're smoking, drinking, or just the topic itself. That's one of the great things about this part 2 is it allows everyone in the community that is watching it to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Because there have been times, and I feel not as much lately as some of the earlier years of the podcast, but there were times during the show where there were more conversations being had in the comment section than just what we were talking about here on the feed.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's absolutely great to see, because what I had noticed about those is those people are coming together during this broadcast to communicate with one another, but they're not necessarily doing that outside of podcast hours.
Sure.
So
No, you're right.
So this is one of those things that everyone has it on their calendar, same time every week. They're going to show up and be a part of it because they look at that as, okay, I know this person generally watches the show during this time. I haven't talked to them since last week, because sometimes different people's schedules don't necessarily line up to be able to communicate with one another back and forth. But this is one of those times where they kind of block out, 2 to 3 hours to be able to communicate with some of those people that they haven't talked to since either the previous episode or they haven't talked to at all. Because we still get new listeners chiming into the comments.
Like the guy from Ghana.
Yeah, not him.
So he's not available anymore on the.
He doesn't love you
no,
anymore?
No, I blocked him. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to take the first step.
Give him $5.
I Venmoed him.
Go away. No.
It's fine. My routing number. It's fine.
I don't know. For this is a different type of New Year's episode just in general, but I feel like we have a chance to start anew. Your life, Steve, is going to change. Everyone's life changes a little bit as the years go by and stuff like that. But I'm excited for next year.
Good.
I don't know. My expectations are, I don't have expectations for next year, which is an odd thing for me because I feel like happiness is based upon expectations. But I feel like whatever happens next year, I'm looking forward to it. The future's here. I graduated in 2000, so that's 24 years since high school, if you can imagine that, or might be longer years for others.
More,
but the math is easy for me.
Shannon, cheers.
What's that?
I said Shannon, cheers for longer than that.
But I do like where your head's at, Steve, where we should celebrate the milestones. You should celebrate Christmas. We should celebrate Thanksgiving. We should celebrate New Year's. We should celebrate New Year's Eve. Because you have an opportunity to celebrate it. We definitely dwell on the bad things, so we should definitely appreciate the good thing. You go to a bad restaurant, you tell 10 people. You go to a good restaurant, you tell 3 people. Whatever. So we should make the best out of these special nights because we have the opportunity to. So I feel like whatever we put into New Year's and New Year's Day, we'll get out of it. And it has a lot to do with the people that you're with and things like that. But if you do view it as a special event and do something, different, or just embrace the specialness of it, you do the Ocean Club once a year and that's your special event. I feel like there's not many milestones in life besides, hey, we do have a new year. 2024 is here. Whatever happened in 2023, for better or worse, it's gone. So move on to the next one.
Let me ask you a question here. The people that this is just my perspective here. Why are the people that don't look forward to New Year's or don't do anything special for New Year's and maybe you guys have a different perspective on this, are people that don't enjoy the day-to-day life?
I think you answered your question.
Seriously.
I think you answered the
people. The people that when I talk to them, like, hey, you doing anything special for New Year's? Like, no.
Are they
They're
positive people?
They're the same people that when you're like, hey, how was your weekend? How's your week been? It's been all right. I don't know. It's not that great. And you say, what are you doing for New Year's? I'm not doing anything. New Year's, like, well, why would I do anything for that? I'm just going to try to stay awake. And you're like, this is a common theme going on here, and you need to figure it the fuck out.
All right. You ever play Kings? You know what Kings is?
It's drinking game.
Yes.
Okay.
So drinking game, categories, drink 2 for this, whatever.
It's
Stuff like that.
categories.
Right. Categories or stuff like that. You can also make rules on certain cards,
Sure.
right? So we were at a friend's Christmas party, and Jews are allowed to go to Christmas parties.
No, I saw the pictures. It
Yeah,
looked
yeah,
great. It's
okay.
nice that you're welcome there.
One of the
Previous guests on the podcast.
I had to wear it. Right. So one of the rules that we made was before you take a card, before you take a drink, say something you did early in the week. Just what did you do this week?
Say anything.
Right. But it wasn't just go to work. It was what was something that you did this week. So if I feel like people sometimes need that little nudge as to what was something that you did this week that was out of the ordinary. What was something that you did that made this week special? What was something you did that
something
made
noteworthy?
something noteworthy?
But I'm not opposed to your regular schedule being positive either.
Right. If it's regular schedule, hey, I got to win. I closed this client. I had a big sale, whatever the case may be.
Sure.
But just, I feel like if you can enjoy the little moments, but also let people know about those little wins, because we'll gel on the little losses. We'll definitely dwell on the little losses, but dwell on the little wins a little longer, and also let people know about your wins, not bragging, but just letting people know what's good going on in your life. Shan, I follow you on social media. I have a vague idea of what's going on in your life, but just by knowing those little things that are going on, I feel like I'm more connected to you by knowing those little wins. So when people say, hey, that's just a typical, ask them. I feel like it's almost pulling teeth sometimes, but just trying to bring those people into what's actually going on in your life. What is actually something that good that happened in your life? And if you pull those things, then those more positive moments can bring more joy to those people's lives.
Yeah, it's resetting the frame of mind there. I think it's resetting that a little bit, and it's not always easy.
It's not always easy, but it is easy. It's making the effort, right?
For on your side, yeah,
No,
for sure.
just
Yeah,
choosing happiness is easy, right?
no, it's not always easy. I would disagree with you there. There is effort into that.
Fair enough.
It's actually easier probably to dwell on. Well, it's easier to dwell on the negative, and it's easier to just take for granted the positives. So it's actually the appreciation of both.
Okay, so if someone starts with the negative comments and you see that they're going down a negative path, which most people do just naturally, or not most people, some people do naturally, just bring them out, be like, all right, man, just not dwell, not just keep digging into the negative, but all right, man, like don't give it the same weight as you would something that is more positive. All right, I heard what you said, that you had a shitty day at work and this person bitched at you or whatever the case may be. But hey, what was something positive that happened this week? And make them focus on that. And that might twist it a little bit between focus on the positive versus focus on the negative.
Let me build off that real quick. And this is going into this, and we'll I know we're going towards the longer side at this point. Sometimes you ask someone that you say, hey, how was your day? How was your weekend? Whatever. And it's like, well, just, but they go in that downward spiral, the Eeyore type of a thing, right? Like, huh. What do you want to do about it?
Are you friends with any of those people?
I am. I'm
Okay.
close with a lot. I mean, I work with some, I'm friends with some, and it's like, but it's one of those things. It's like, I get what you're saying. I love that positive spin on it, but
and I'm not
to you guys.
Yeah.
No, I'm just to you guys. It's.
I might be trying to speak.
Do you allow them to? Because I've done this. It's like when someone has that response to me. Hey, how was your night? How was your week? Whatever, and it's just all negative. It's like you almost just like you pull up. You just like, okay, I'm gonna disengage at this point. Remember, I use that word of engagement there. I disengage at this point because I don't want that negative influence on me. And I don't want, I'm just going to let that person be miserable, and I'm not going to let it affect my day. That is a strategy that I think is very effective for your mental health. However, as it keeps happening, if you don't make any changes, but it's, do you, in a sense, in a positive way, confront that and say, oh,
Anything good happened this week?
no.
Oh.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do differently? What are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do about that? Oh, your weekend was terrible
You
as
can bitch
always.
about it for so
Your
long.
weekend's gonna be terrible as always. All right, close friends, right? Take it out of but just like close friends first, where you don't have as much invested, right? It's not a significant other, it's not like a work relationship, you see them every day, but a close friend. Like, oh, it's just not going well. It's like, so how are you gonna respond? Like, what are you feeling? Like, they're like, I'm not gonna do anything about it. It's like, okay, probably should do something.
Because if I ask you the same question a week from now or a month from now,
This
am I
is
gonna
your
get the
life.
same answer.
Right. I mean, like, but I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying, Spencer, where it's like you try to like dig deep. What was positive? I think there is a value to that, but at the same time, it's like if they're just gonna keep saying that, it's like, what are you doing about it? You know what I mean? Like, what do we like? How can I help you? You want to help that person,
At
right?
some
You want to
point-
solve the problem, but you can't. So it's like if they won't get their head out of their ass on that, and they're just going to be miserable, and all the time it's always this "woe is me" type thing. What are you going to do? Like New Year's Eve, like what are you going to do? Nothing. Probably it's going to be another day. Like we go back to that, another day, probably going to suck. And like, I want to help you, but you're not even reflecting on this.
At some
To
point, you
make
got to
it
stop
better.
being their therapist.
Yeah. And I'm not always. I'm the one that sometimes more recently I just like pull up. I disengage. I'm like, cool. Yeah, I'm not gonna let you ruin my day.
Yeah.
So I normally will try to, with more interaction, just try to be positive. Keep inviting in this stuff. Keep doing.
You
Like,
have
oh
to
yeah.
guard your own happiness.
What's that, Shannon?
So you have to guard your own happiness when you confront people like that.
Guard
or
your own
when you
happiness, but also I feel like there's a lead by example type of effort you can do. Is you don't over communicate. It's tough for me to do sometimes, but it's like, so what do we do to make this different? I don't want this to be our interaction or your interaction with everyone else. I want a little bit more out of this because now you're affecting me.
Are more or less,
Because if I came into the situation and did the same thing to you, I know that person would be kind of alarmed, be like, oh, this person's off. You know what I mean? And this is not, I'm not talking about Kristen. I'm talking about other people in my life.
Yeah.
Is I've had these relationships,
I see your leg.
work and otherwise,
Just because I want to try it.
work and friends, where it's just like you start talking to them about positive things. I'm sorry you're going through that, but like if I can talk about I don't try. I feel as though sometimes you try to win and try to be like, yeah, I'm more miserable. Trying to relate with them, like, oh yeah, you had this go on, I had this go on. All of a sudden, it's like they're not in the right sense. You know what I'm talking about? You're like, oh yeah, I know, yeah, I had a bad day too. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, my personal life recently, it's like among all the things happening, all of a sudden my washing machine started like acting up, and I'm like, I did for a person in my life, I literally was like, yeah, no, I get it. Like my washing machine was acting up, and now I probably have to buy a new washing machine. What did I do? I started literally YouTubing the shit out of this, and I may have fixed buying a washer, maybe temporarily. I mean, it's over 10 years old. I mean, I did that, and sure as shit, Kristen texted me today. She's like, hey, I ran the washer. This was literally this morning that I finally was able to take the control panel off my washing machine. But I had also used this as an example in a conversation where it's like, yeah, no, I get it. It's always something, right? My washing machine was acting up, and it's like, but I also talked to that person today, and I was like, remember I was talking about the washing machine a couple days ago? I don't know if I fixed it, but I think I fixed it for now. And now all of a sudden I'm the old man, in the family, where it's like, no, the washing machine's not bad. You just got to do this and this and this. It's like I had a car back in the day where it's like you just have to pump the gas a couple times before you start it, and then it'll start up just fine.
That's right.
I was a college student. Like, I'm not trying to keep this thing going, but I was, I was happy that I was able to do that. Now all of a sudden this is a win for me, and now I'm trying to talk to this person. It's someone I work with. And
Are more or less of the people that come into the Tinder Box positive or negative?
more positive.
That's good.
When you say this statement to me, this is definitely a sentiment for the new year. When you say to me that, well, I'd complain, but what's the point? Or no one's going to listen to me. You're like, all right. We all have problems. We all have this. Like, get your head out of your ass, in my opinion, because that's where I look at the new year. And, you know, Nate, you were talking about your 40th birthday and all that stuff, and I can talk
Stagnate.
slightly as your elder. I'm looking at life differently these days. Being 43, Shannon, you're older than me. Is
48.
that 48? We got
You look 49.
9.
Yeah.
No, I look at it as like we have so many years left that it's like we don't have anything figured out, but it's like I'm not going to dwell or get stuck on this. And if someone else is going to get stuck on this, I'm not just going to ignore them. Sometimes you have to totally disengage, but I look at it as like we got to figure this out together and just go like I like Spencer's point of what are the positives, because it's like, yeah, we all have problems. We have wins, we have losses, we have all this stuff. If you focus on the losses and just completely ignore the good things in your life, it is on you.
Mhm.
And I think that sometimes that you really can together try to somehow read the room and just get back to moving forward
Well, I think it's one of
in
those
a good
things-
way.
I think it's one of those things where if you have that person that you see on a regular basis, where every time you ask them, like, hey, how's things going? And the first several times you ask them, it's always them going down some negative spiral about what's been going on. After what, like, Steve, I know you're the kind of person that, you know, when you see someone that, you know, you see on a regular basis and you start asking them that question, if all of a sudden they go to a point where every time you're asking them, they go down that negative trail, eventually you'll get to the point where you'll just stop asking.
I will
And
reframe the question sometimes.
Well,
first.
but it's not.
I will.
I believe you.
Absolutely.
It's not being
It's being
unfriendly.
stupid. It's like,
not,
how about this weather?
it's not being
Yeah, it's
unfriendly. It's
raining.
not being
Oh, I was
disrespectful.
figuring out for warm.
It's more like, okay, like I've been asking you this, like I've been trying to, you know, get you to focus on something else. You're not doing that. I've done all I can. So that's where you start doing the disengagement.
I do.
Because initially you're trying to engage that person and trying to get something positive out of them. But you're only going to do that for so long. Eventually you're going to hit your breaking point. We're like, all right, your negative attitude is impacting me every time I ask you this.
Sure.
So I'm going to disengage from that as to not affect me. Like, you know, if something happens, great. But if every time I talk to you, it's always something negative, we're not going to talk as much.
You know, when someone asks me, what are you doing for New Year's? And this is a person, I know several people over the years and even right now. Hey, what are you doing for any plans for New Year's? Any plans for Christmas even? You know what I mean? Or Hanukkah.
Why are you saying it like it's
Dreidel.
I will fight you.
You gotta go down to Texas.
No,
There
because
ain't many of us down in Texas. I know that right now.
no, I'm joking about that part. It was literally, it's about like just anything you ask them. You know what I mean? But what are you doing for New Year's? Nothing. You know, I probably just do this. Just another day. Going back to that, it's like, what do you? If they probably won't even ask at that point, what are you doing for New Year's? You know, I'm off for them. Like, yeah, no, my girlfriend and I are looking at probably like, you know, gonna go have that Irish toast, and we're gonna do something. Probably because no one else is doing anything, we'll probably end up back at home, but we're gonna celebrate New Year's.
I'm surprised with your whole crew that am I missing something there?
No. It's not my crew. It's more Kristen's crew. Like that's getting older. It's my crew or you guys. You know what I mean? But it's like we have our time together. So New Year's is different to everyone, but my point is that you say like, hey, we're gonna like try to like make the best of it and all that stuff. Luckily this year, New Year's Day, it's Sunday, Monday, so I'm off those days. It also was a not a great thing because my days are off are Sunday, Monday. So Christmas Eve I worked, and Christmas Day I was off, and we did our big Christmas and just making the best of it in the midst of the moving part of it. And then Tuesday I was open to close again. I mean, that's it.
It's a long, this time of year is a long time of year for you.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the New Year's thing is like, I'm going to make the best of it. And I'm not going to like let anyone else make me feel guilty about enjoying something.
Who the hell's making you feel guilty?
Oh, no one does anymore. I'm just saying like it's a conversation where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to go out. We're going to drink. We're going to enjoy it together. This is a response to someone that literally was like, yeah, probably not going to do anything. And you're just like,
go fuck yourself.
Not. Agreed.
I can say that.
Agreed.
GFY for president, right?
I like that story about the US cigar, by the way, with the GFY. I didn't realize that was an option.
Grand Florida Yankee.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was an option.
It'll happen someday.
Connecticut rapper?
Probably. With a lot of Lajero in it. Nice Connecticut over here. Oh my God, it kicked my ass. Yeah, go fuck yourself.
That'd be great.
It's a pepper bomb, baby. It's a pepper bomb.
Sounds like a great blend.
No, I look at this as, I know we don't have many listeners at this point because it's getting late, but I encourage everyone to enjoy the holidays, enjoy the time you have, not necessarily on this earth, but just with the people. It's, I don't care what your life situation is. I mean, it goes back to, not to get too serious, but the people that are dealing with health issues,
real issues.
I'm saying, okay, real issues, but health issues, that they're being told that this is their last New Year's. Use that as an example for yourself. And that's what sadly, and this is very, very important to me, is every time I feel like I'm not in a positive place, one of the great motivators for me is that look at New Year's as an example. There are plenty of people in this world that you don't know that they may have days or this is their last. They've been given a diagnosis that this is their last New Year's. Would you frame your life differently if that was the case? Or if you knew someone important to you?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Absolutely. So that's what this is a open book test here of how you should live your life. I'm not saying go skydiving on New Year's Eve. I'm saying just fucking enjoy it. Like, just do your best to enjoy yourself.
He's enjoying himself.
Right, my point.
Duck hunting.
Spider?
It's goose.
All right. Shannon, how about some closing remarks? Because I think this podcast could go into about New Year's at this point.
This is the first time you shit.
Yeah, I'll just say, like New Year's, try to find somebody to spend it with. Some of you
have someone?
Cherish. I got somebody. I got my wifey and my doggo, so it'll be good.
Love it.
I think my mom and my aunt are actually coming down this weekend, so that'll be cool. I've never done New Year's with my mom ever.
Love that.
You don't have
adopted,
to at midnight. You don't have to.
What's that?
Nothing.
Tell her you love her.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. But I mean, even if you can't physically spend the time with somebody, call somebody and just let them know that you're thinking about them. And I think that's just, you should always let somebody know you're thinking about them if you're thinking about them. I mean, we all have people we care about. And sometimes we just let that go by the wayside and not tell them. And like you said, something tragic could happen and you have that little regret. So this is a good time of the year just to reach out. Send a text, send a call, leave a message, and just start the new year with a positive mindset. You don't need a resolution. You don't need any of that crap. Just hit the new year with a new mindset of increments of getting better from last year. Whatever you started, keep going. Just increments. It doesn't have to be you change your life in 30 days type bullshit. Just set a game plan, move forward, stick to it, and enjoy it, man. Enjoy the ride. Life is unpredictable. And that's the best part about it.
So no 7-minute abs, right?
Only if you can do it in 5.
No one can do it in 5. I mean,
You just delete the
7
last
minutes.
2 minutes.
No.
Isn't that from a movie?
Yeah.
8-minute abs, 7 minutes.
7 minutes abs. Like, what if someone comes out with 6 minutes? You can't. You can't even break a sweat in 6 minutes.
Campus cougher.
He's like 7 in the office.
Where's
Why?
that from?
You're fucking fired.
Who's that from?
I think it's something about Mary, right?
Okay.
Think?
I
Great
think
movie.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Nate, how about you? I want to go to you.
The Russian judge.
I don't know what that has to do with the topic, but
Negative communism.
Thank you.
but no, I'm going into the talk about the New Year's and talk about resolutions and the importance of the account. Like we talked about it on the podcast before in the past about you shouldn't wait until like it's great to have a day on the calendar that reminds you to look at things a certain way or to get motivated to do something, but you shouldn't rely solely on a day on the calendar to make a change. Like when you realize that a change needs to be made, that's when you should start implementing change. You don't necessarily have to you don't have to wait like, hey, it's September. I think I need to make a change in my life. I'll wait till after January 1st of the new year.
Yeah, start on Monday. It's the new year, new me. Bullshit.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Well, I mean, that's
what I'm hearing.
We always see the jokes or the memes online about, the people that, hey, January, you're going to have a bunch of new people coming into the gym.
I don't like it.
And then in March, they're all gone.
He likes it.
I like that.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
But like, it's one of those things where when you realize a change needs to be made, that's when you need to make the change, not wait until a day on the calendar or, wait till maybe something's more convenient. It's like, okay, you realize something needs to be changed. There's a reason why all of a sudden you felt that way. So why wait? Go ahead and do it. You don't have to wait for, a certain night of the week to talk to someone or a certain day on the calendar to make a change in your life. It's just do it when it happens or when you realize it needs to happen. I forget where I was going. So
You have vibrated over there.
It's Ron.
Spencer,
Well said, Nate.
especially when you lost track.
So fuck 2023.
No.
Okay.
Settle down.
Hey, I had a great 2023. I don't know.
Good, so you've been drinking.
And low.
What?
I remember fine. All right, so 298. By the way, I don't think I'm going to be here for 300 unless you don't have another guest. But I think it is commendable that you guys are coming up on
Might be
300.
free.
So it is something impressive, a milestone.
Thank you.
And I am congratulating the two of you on making it to 300 episodes.
Thank you for being a supporter too.
You are very welcome, and I feel part of the community. I feel part of this this thing you guys have done that might not be on the gravestone, but would be a memorable thing of our lives that you have done 300 of these podcasts, and it every time it brings a unbelievable memory to myself. And 2023, I'm ready for 2024. I hope that for everyone out there, 2024 is a better year than 2023 for those out there. I think the advantage of having a milestone, having that on the calendar, makes it a something to look forward to, and something that keeps people alive is to have something to look forward to. And 2024 is something to look forward to. And I appreciate the friendships of this podcast. I appreciate the love of the podcast. I appreciate that this is something that I can be a part of a handful of times a year. Or more. Not that we're keeping track, but hopefully Nate is keeping track. And I'm looking forward to, hopefully we can do that toast on New Year's this year. Nate, I swear to God, the next time I see you, if you don't plan a stag night, we are going to have issues. So mark
no
it
women?
down in your,
Stag night is no women.
Stag night, no women. Mark it down. Put down some days that
Mark
work
it 8,
for
dude.
yourself so that us as gentlemen can support you in your 40th year of life on this earth.
We can set up a nice table in the garage and just grill it out.
Otherwise known as a podcast.
Yeah.
But we can do that.
There's a time that
And
Nate was eating 3 steaks deep in this garage.
I hope everyone had a very happy holiday
No, don't pull a picture. You don't have to pull a picture.
season. I hope that 2024 is prosperous for everybody. And I am
3 steaks deep.
Mm-hmm. T-bones.
I think that we should celebrate New Year's Eve. I think we
Yes.
should celebrate New Year's Day, and we should view it as a new beginning to another year of being around on this earth, because we don't have forever. And I am looking forward to having another year, a new start to next year.
I like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Both of you guys. All you guys.
Thank you.
If you knew that this New Year's was your last, you would celebrate in your own way. I'm not saying you go out and live it up on the town. I think you would pick what's important to you, and I think that's what I have learned that I want to do better at, is that when I have a holiday like New Year's come up, is that I don't necessarily celebrate it as if it was my last, but I want to make sure I celebrate it to a point. Christmas, I joke a bit about it, like I'm actually shocked a little bit, because, Kristen wants to make sure that, the Christmas tree was up and decorations, all that stuff. And all I fought for was, can we celebrate Thanksgiving first? And the Christmas tree is already down and she's ready to move on to, I think, the new year. And she wants to do something. And I think that we're navigating that as a couple. But I look at it as that, it's as I've already said, is I want to make sure that I'm as guilty as anyone else. On a bad day, I just want tomorrow to come. You can do that every once in a while, but I don't think you should do it all the time. And I don't think you should look back on your life, no matter how bad it was, in your mind, that you could have done things differently. This is a mature and a very open response to where you're at in your life right now, is make the best of it, literally based on your life leading up to it, and you living up to that moment.
What do you mean?
I mean that we've all had New Year's Eve and celebrations that were good and bad, and some were important, some weren't. Some were bad ones that you just didn't enjoy, and you didn't know what to look forward to in the new year. Most people, I think, have that. I am of the opinion that we should celebrate it, and you should, all of us, try to really reflect on the previous year, if it was a good one, hopefully it was, that you can make another good year out after that.
Stack them.
Stack them. And when the bad ones, the bad years come, because they do, that you don't just be like, I'm going to be different. I'm going to be opposite of that. No. Build off of it. I'm excited about this new year. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. And I'm very, very grateful that my significant other and my partner is excited. Are you laughing at that, or are you just joking?
Tried to retro hill.
I'm looking forward to the fact that we have some things planned, because I am that person that it's not the fact that I just New Year's is another day, but I don't look that far into the future. So now I'm living a life with a partner that really tries to frame the upcoming days and months and all that stuff. And I am enjoying it. But I'm also that person that I'm not going to let a bad day or bad year, but bad day go too long. I want to make sure that it's like, we're having a bad day. Friends, you guys too. If we have a disagreement and all that stuff, I'm going to be the one that texts you. I'm going to be the one, like, I'm not okay with this. I don't, like, if I value your position in my life, I'm not going to let it go too long that time passes that I'm just going to shut down. I might be in the wrong. I might be the party that is in the wrong, but I'm going to confront you as someone in my life that I'm not happy with this. I know you're not happy because you shut down. And I want to make sure that we can do the best that we can we can resolve the issue, that we need to take a step back. But I want that resolution. I don't want the unknown or this overhanging thing on top of you and me. I don't want that. I want to make sure that going into tomorrow, going into the new year, I want all of this, that we can actually address the elephant in the room, that we can make ourselves better. And sometimes it will be an evolution in the relationship, that we're not going to be as good of friends right now. I'm not going to talk to you as much, but I want to make sure that we address it so that we can continue together or separately. We can have a good life going forward. Regretfully, I can't think of many people in my life that have done the same for me. And I know sometimes that I can be more abrasive or more upfront about communication. It's not always fun. And I can annoy the shit out of some people because of that.
Who are you talking about? You don't annoy the shit out of anybody.
No, not you, Spencer.
Yeah, that's all I care about.
I know that's all you care about. All I'm saying is that I encourage everyone to really embrace the situation, embrace the factors around you, that you are looking at your mental health personally, and then also the other people involved. But sometimes you have to let go of that. But more importantly, more often, if you're honest and open and communicating, you will break through whatever the issue is. And I think with the new year coming up, is that no matter what you struggled with in the last year, I think that you can make this year better. And it's not always about cutting people out. I think sometimes it's about knowing who you are and getting a little slice of humble pie, that sometimes it's back on you. And when things are going well, I have taken things for granted, and I hope you guys don't, but you make sure that you really go into the new year, if you take the best practices and the best things of your life going forward, that you don't just take New Year's as another day. You celebrate those things, and you work on the things that you need to work on. And I don't think it always happens because we ignore the fact that New Year's is in my opinion, is a trivial holiday, but we have that calendar for a reason, just like a lot of other holidays, that we all need that reminder sometimes that it's like, all right, New Year's 2024. What does that mean? Nothing. You mess up back in the day, you mess up your checks, you mess up the dates, you know what I mean? Like you do that until about February. It's like, 2024. That's what I meant to say. So you scribble out the 3 and you put a 4 in there. Now you get back on it that you are embracing today, because time doesn't stop, and we need to continue to enjoy our time on this earth.
Love it.
Right on.
I love the fact that Spencer, you're here tonight, and Shannon, you're a part of it.
Yes, sir.
Look forward to another year of
Pleasant
podcasts.
surprise.
Got it. Still went in too deep.
Quit doing it with the.
Does it not sound better the way I do it?
Shannon, cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers to you guys out there too.
God bless Texas.
See you
All
on
right,
the other
boys.
side.
Happy New Year, Nate.